and it goes pop, pop, pop. Brrrr, pop, pop, pop. Both trucks sat there, and it was a cold, sunny day, and it was like a 14-degree temperature differential on like a 60-degree morning. Everyone who's ever complained about Cobalt is doing so on a device that contains Cobalt mined by child slave labor. You know what I mean?
No,
and it's not like, oh, I have more child slave labor in my car. It's the same, you know.
I mean, you physically have more.
But unlike, and by the way,
you do.
Trust me, I'm more against child slave labor than the people that claim to be against child slave labor. Like, you know,
what does that even mean?
I'm really against slavery. Like, I
can't wait for
most
against
I
it.
can't wait for the social media people to cut that one.
That's right.
I
This
was
shit
against child
has
slave
given
labor
a
when
fuck.
it was a small band.
Yeah,
like, just
exactly.
small.
No, talk me out of that. That's right.
Don't look at me like it's my fucking job.
No, I'm just saying, like, all these people talk me out of that. You know, like, come on.
All right.
If you want to talk Johnny out of that, go to his Instagram.
Yeah, talk
on
about
his
it on
posts.
fucking his page. Hey folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. The biggest Sunday in sports is coming, and are you ready for it? DraftKings is the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 57, has all the Super Bowl action that you need. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get on Super Bowl 57 excitement with DraftKings Happy Hour Super Boosts. Check the DraftKings Sportsbook app every day between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. Pacific to see what prop bet will be boosted. I am very excited for the Super Bowl. You know why? Halftime show. Straight up. Rihanna. About that.
She's very good.
She's very good. The ad copy wants me to talk about my Super Bowl pick. I couldn't even tell you who's playing.
Who's in the Super Bowl?
I don't even know. I don't watch sports. I'd love to. I'm sorry,
Kansas City
DraftKings.
Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to go Eagles.
Fucking
There you go.
Eagles. E-A-G.
Fluffy
L-E-S. Eagles. Go Birds. That's what I'm talking
I
about.
love the chant. They're like, we spell it and then we yell it. Keep it simple.
I like Philadelphia. Why? Because it's Philadelphia. That's why. Because Rob McElhaney says I should. That's really why. Because it's always sunny there. That's my pick. There we go. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code TIRE. New customers can bet $5 on Super Bowl 57 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code TIRE. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions do apply. See the show notes for details, and those details are in the show notes. DraftKings Sportsbook. Also brought to you today by Viore. I love my Viore shirts. Zach is wearing the Viore pants. They are very fire.
Can I express how comfortable these are? It's going to be an embarrassing statement. Feels like I've shaved my legs. That's how, I swear to God, whatever they do with the inside of these pants is so smooth and soft. It's so nice.
Viore is awesome. It's a new perspective on performance apparel. Perfect if you're sick and tired of the traditional old workout gear. Everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it. It's so comfortable you want to wear it all the time. And I do. 100% of my t-shirts are Viore t-shirts. I wear them all the time. I'm wearing one right this second. If you ever see me wearing a blank non-logo t-shirt, that's Viore. It's more comfortable than whatever you're wearing right now. Incredibly versatile product. Can be used for any athletic activity, running, training, swimming, yoga, etc. And also great wearing it to work, wearing it lounging on weekends, wearing it under a blazer to look good. They are awesome. It looks great in everyday life. Perfect for all workout activities. The website, super easy. My favorite shirts are the Sterrato fabric. Zach has the Sunday Performance Jogger pant, available as a short or a pant. And I do Pilates in the Core shirt, Kore. It's the most comfortable lined athletic shirt, short ever. Vori is an investment in your happiness. For our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. It's an excellent deal. Get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at viori.com/TST. That's VUORI.com/TST. You will get 20% off your first purchase and also enjoy free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to viori.com/TST and discover the versatility of Viori clothing. VUORI.com/TST. Of course, our Patreon is here. If you want to ask us questions for the show, ask our guests questions to answer during the show, watch the live stream, you want an ad-free listening experience, those ads I just read, you never have to listen to them again with the Patreon. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. You can also get the show the same day it's recorded, not wait till Tuesday, Thursday. You can also get an extra podcast every month, a 9th show, and you can get an ad-free watching experience for our car review videos as well. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Check it out, everybody. All right, it's a marathon today with Jonny Lieberman. He's in studio. We talk about off-roading the Rivian and how changing the tires has affected his experience. We reminisce about the time he got to bang my Countach before I bought it and what's going to happen with that in the future. And we get into a big, I don't know if it's an argument, but it's a something about the mining of minerals and what is better for the environment, oil or gas, and the motivations behind making those arguments. It is a crazy one tonight, and we're drinking Irish whiskey with Jonny Lieberman on the Smoking Tire Podcast.
L'chaim. Hey, l'chaim.
This is the
Space Laser episode.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Jews Unite. This is the Middleton Very Rare vintage released, bottled in 2019.
Irish.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. It was a gift from a client, and I don't know anything about it.
Well, I know a little bit about Irish whiskey, and here's what I know.
Well, it tastes pretty fucking good.
It's great.
It's not bad, right?
That's fantastic.
It's a good taste.
That's delicious.
A good tasting
that's
whiskey.
Literally delicious.
Yeah.
So
cool.
The little I know about Irish whiskey is that before World War II, most of the whiskey that was imported to the U.S., we made our own whiskey, but the most that was imported was Irish. And then Ireland, sadly, stayed neutral.
Like people.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But Ireland stayed neutral during World War II. And that didn't go over so well. So then we started importing Scotch because Scotland fought on the right side. And
I saw that movie.
Yeah. So the Irish whiskey industry died off, and you were left with like Jameson and then the John Powers and like one other.
And whatever. And Middleton Very Rare.
But lately, the last couple of years, they're reopening and opening up new distilleries like crazy. And I went to one in this wonderful city called Dingle. Which is like actually my favorite place on earth.
A very unfortunately named city, but I bet it's great.
The berries are delicious.
In Gaelic, it sounds great.
Yeah.
It's I think it's like the southwesternmost point of Ireland, and it's just like the other end of the world.
I feel like I was in that corner of Ireland at a golf course called Old Head, which was the prettiest golf course I've ever been to in my life.
It's the prettiest place in the world.
Cliffs? 300-foot cliffs?
No.
No, maybe I was a different
It's got a bay. It's like a seaside town. So it's great because they have... what are they? They have like 53 bars in a town of like 200 people, but they're like one for every day of the week, or more than one.
3 bars per person.
Yeah, it was one for every week of the year. Sorry, I know this video, but
Yeah.
it was great. And then if you ever watch, it's the greatest video of all time. If you it's a YouTube video. It's like horrible Irish accent, and there's this like farmer. You could probably pull it up. There's this farmer. His sheep get stolen, and I don't even know what he's saying.
That's like the guy who works on Clarkson's farm, who you just have no idea what he says.
But this is much worse and not played up for TV because it was like a local reporter interviewing the guy.
Yeah.
And man, you can't hear nothing. And
That's
then
hilarious.
they go to his neighbor who's like just as terrible.
They have their own language for that little postcode.
But it's just it's English because they understand what the reporter's saying to them,
Yeah.
and they're talking back. But you're just like, what?
When I went to Scotland last year, I found that the can't understand what they're saying when they're drunk thing was overhyped, and I understood everybody just fine.
Scottish isn't hard. Welsh is hard.
Yeah, no, Welsh is fucking
when
crazy.
they're sober, you can't understand them, and then they're like they write something.
Yeah, and it's like 85 consonants in a row.
Yeah,
and you
like
don't know
15
what that
P's and an F, and it's not pronounced paff. It's something else. Yeah,
That's pronounced shine, and you're like, what? There's no S or N in this fucking thing.
No, just P P F F Y Y Y P shine.
If the Welsh ever come up with a car company, like, we're fucked. Like, they've got alphanumerics like on lockdown already. Their alphabet is just pure alphanumerics already.
I love Wales though. That's another beautiful
Wales is
part
awesome.
of the world.
Yeah.
Have you done like all of Wales?
Not all of it. I did the Chris Harris version of Wales.
So that's northern Wales.
Yeah.
That's like Betsy Coed. I bet you went to Betsy Coed.
We went to like where every Chris Harris video is filmed. That's where we were.
So that's the town. There's a Shell station in a town called Betsy Coed, and that's like the only place to get gas. And that's the
And then we went to Anglesey, which is in Wales.
Yeah, and Anglesey is further north out on the coast. Anglesey's
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Did you have good weather?
No, it rained.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had like rain, and then it cleared, and it was just like,
Yeah.
it was fantastic.
They don't let you use drones there.
because there's an Air Force base.
Because there's an Air Force base, which is too bad because the one drone shot I've ever seen from that place was like the best drone coverage ever.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. So that's Northern Wales, which is gorgeous.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But Southern Wales is like there's just more flowers. It's like that green plus beautiful flowers.
Oh, cool.
It's insane.
I'd like to go back. I also really want to go to the Isle of Man.
Me too. Never been.
Yeah, that's that. Not only for the race, which I hear great things about.
I hear a lot of
our new
death.
friend Mitch McKee from M Engineering. They have a fucking outpost on the Isle of Man, of all places,
where
where
no
they
speed
do
limit, right?
some engineering, and also Roger W. Smith. One of the best watchmakers living today has a shop on the Isle of Man.
I've been to an island called Inishbofin off the coast of Ireland, which is I wouldn't not recommend it, but it's like I think like 100 people live there, and it is miserably cold and rainy all the time.
Yeah,
and,
that's like the Faroe Islands, except when the weather's perfect and it's the most Instagrammable place ever.
Yeah, I don't know how Instagrammable this is. It's just kind of like black rock. But what was great was my wife and I went, and they had this thing you could do where you go to this like spa, and they have just a bathtub, and you each get in a bathtub, and you're in the same room, and they dump like water and seaweed into the bathtub with you, and you sit there and look at the ocean. And I was like, man, we could make $1 billion in LA because it's just seaweed. It grows.
It's not special seaweed. It's just regular.
Yeah, and they had like 4 claims, like it helps with this and with that and the other. But you're sitting in like bath water with kelp thrown into it.
How'd you feel afterwards?
Oh, it was fantastic. That didn't matter. But I was like the whole time, I'm like, and we had this friend Brett, who's like this kind of like larger deadhead sort of dude. And I'm like, imagine we could get like Brett just to walk in and like just dump seaweed on people for like $300 an hour. Like,
you could do it in the kelp forest right up in the north.
Sure.
The north, yeah, for sure.
or whatever you get there.
Big Sur is where you would do that.
I think
on the cliff.
But I think you could do it in LA, and I think you could like digitally project a beautiful image. You just do it in a strip mall, and then you just imported kelp. It's imported from like down the street. I think you could make a fortune.
Probably.
This is what I was thinking
This
about.
racket we're in doesn't work out.
Yeah,
Fucking
right?
kelp baths.
Kelp.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Are you cold, Zach, with the jacket?
Yeah, he's wearing a sweatshirt and a hat. You got a sweatshirt
Oh,
on.
I'm having a bad hair life.
I'm wearing a
t-shirt.
sweatshirt because I don't look
and
good
the
in
AC
t-shirts
vent
right
is
now.
like above me. I'm that old person now.
This is all filthy. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. You look like a dirty man right now.
Everyone's gonna say the hobo. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take
that's
it off.
okay. I don't give a fuck. By the way, your shirt underneath is also dirty.
Oh, God. Is it?
A little bit. It's okay.
Well, I'm a
And
slob.
you drove here in a dirty truck.
I went off-roading.
Yeah,
Nice.
it looked like Rower.
I did. I went to Rower,
Yeah.
but Rower post-rain, which was very
So it's
interesting.
a fucking mess, right?
Yeah, in a good way. A good way for that truck. I think a slightly lesser vehicle, I would have really struggled. But
Is there still snow up there?
yeah, there was
There
snow.
is?
Yeah,
On top of Rower, there's snow?
I got pictures on the
Really?
gram. If you
Byron went with a bunch of people, and his Cayenne had to pull a bunch of trucks out.
Really?
He sent me
Oh, he
photos.
must
It
have
was
felt good about
there was a
himself
lot of snow.
there.
I will say that I learned because I'm a California boy that Downhill off-roading in snow is very difficult.
Sketchy.
You really slide around. Yeah, if you go to
there. Is there I didn't scroll to. I read your. I read your summary there, but I did not. Oh, look at that!
Go one more.
That's snow on top of Rower.
Field of
Fuck
snow.
Me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, slippery.
So for those who don't live in Los Angeles, Rower is a really good trail to test. I mean, not trophy trucks or anything, but like capable production vehicles
it's rated,
are challenged by this trail.
There's black diamond and double black diamond, double black diamond sections, and so the result of the rains was puddles everywhere, which is rad.
Yeah.
A lot of like just kind of disintegration of just if there was a slight hole. It was just deeper.
Yeah.
And then a lot of rocks, I think, kind of got like pushed around. So like the parts that are rocky were much more challenging. It was really windy when I was up there. The ZR2 was killer, and I think mostly what I like is the rock sliders, because you actually slide all over the place on rocks, and they work well.
Other than some rock sliders and taller suspension and beefy tires, is there anything to that?
Lockers, front and rear lockers, and then it's got the same spool valve dampers that the smaller Colorado ZR2 has. So really sophisticated damping system. And then great articulation.
But it's not like a desert runner kind of thing. It's more of like
not
a trail
TRX
crawler.
or a Raptor. It's more like a Tremor, or like a Power Wagon.
Right.
But I think I think it's better than a Power Wagon, because Power Wagon's based on a heavy-duty truck platform, so it's like 6,400 pounds. This is probably just as capable, but 5,400 pounds, so it's more capable. And then also with the damping, you just have so much better. I don't know if you've ever done like Power Wagon off-roading.
No, I've never taken. I've never driven a Power Wagon.
They're cool, but they're if you're rock crawling, when you come off a rock and you land, it's a big situation. It's clonk. And this is much calmer when in its little like movements, and again 1,000 pounds lighter, I would guess, if not maybe like 1,200 pounds lighter, and again just as capable, and they're both gas powered. So the
Power Wagon's gas powered.
Gas only, because it comes standard with a winch, and Ram, unlike Ford, they couldn't get a winch to pass crash safety with the diesel engine because it just I don't know, diesel's a bigger
packaging
thing.
or whatever.
And so with the Tremor, you can get the winch with diesel or gasoline. But I think the Tremor's pretty good, but like the diesel one is like, it's like 8,000 pounds. So when you off-road in it, you have no idea what's happening. And, you're coming off boulders and it's like a big event.
Yeah.
So
I don't like off-roading with crazy heavy vehicles.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm enthusiastic about.
I mean, that was
like Bronco Raptor is about as heavy and big as I want for off-roading.
I would say the only exception,
Rover.
the only exception for me is the Rivian, which
Actually, good point. Rivian was
before
awesome.
we went on that crazy thing we did across country. I was like, it's got to weigh. We didn't know what it weighed. We hadn't weighed one, but we know the size of the battery. I'm like, this thing's got to be like 3.5 tons. It turned out it was 7,200 pounds. I'm like, it's gonna suck. And then everyone has driven one off road.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, we drove one on Rower.
Yeah,
and it was exceptional. Even with the we had the 20s. We didn't have the 22s.
Yeah,
you want the 20s.
No, you want the 20s.
Yeah.
We had the 20s, and it was like fucking great. Like so good.
Yeah, and on mine I just put on some Toyos, like beefier tires.
Yeah,
and then the idea was I was
on 20s or 22s.
On 20s.
Yeah,
I went off roading with it, and my buddy had a Defender 110 on KO2s, and I was letting him drive my truck, and I was just watching. And I aired down. I probably, in fairness, I aired down too much, but I was watching like the tire deform in the Rivian.
What did you go down to? Like
I went
15?
down to 18.
Yeah.
And after I got the new tires, Shaheen, who Rivian, was like, "Oh, you should only go down to 28." I'm like, "Oh, thanks for telling me that." But anyways, I was watching the sidewall deforms. I was talking to Sean Holman, and I'm like, "What would you put on this?" And he's like, "Toyo Open Country 3s would be a great." So I haven't, but Scott Evans and I we have a long-term Rivian, and so we took it to go off-roading, and Rower was closed because of the floods. So, but I went up on Tuesday, it was open. So,
have you driven the Ram GT, they call it?
No.
It's like one tiny step down from Power Wagon.
Yeah.
I like these middle trucks that aren't like
The application of a GT badge to a heavy duty truck to me is somehow
weird.
offensive.
It's just like they put the nice stuff in it and then like a locking diff in the back. But I can already hear the internet going like, oh, the ZR2 is not a Raptor. It's like not everything has to be
You see
a
today,
Baja runner. Like it can all. There are different jobs for trucks and off-road things, and some of them do this shit really well.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, first of all, today it looks like I don't know, either Chevy announced or it leaked. They're going to do a Raptor off the ZR2. Like it's going to be the ZR3 or whatever, some dumb
Silverado or Colorado?
Silverado. It'll be like a desert runner type thing. It's going to be a Raptor, which makes sense just from a competitive thing. But you're right, because all these guys were asking me like, how does it compare to the Raptor, the ZR2? And I'm like, do you jump your truck? If no, because it's like, yes, the long travel suspension does give a really nice ride to the Raptors and the TRX. However, the Multimatic shocks are pretty good. They don't travel as much, but they're really sophisticated.
What about on the little cracks? Because when I had my Raptor, and they may have solved this since then, it absorbed the big stuff, and I could say exactly the same thing about 911 Dakar. It absorbed the really big stuff, great. But the little stuff, it would still make it shudder a little bit if it wasn't enough to really compress that spring and shock.
So that's what's the beauty of spool valves, if you will, is that you have low speed and high speed damping. Pretty good on the Rower, before you get to the actual trail, you're on that kind of like access path, and it's gnarly in terms of
that was where it ended the regular non-Raptor Bronco for me.
Yeah.
The ride on that access path
was really bad.
Fucked.
Shocking.
It was so bad.
I
remember
being on a dirt road out in like near Joshua Tree that was, you could tell like a bulldozer just smooths it out once a month.
Yeah.
And so there's just little tiny little humps. The Bronco, I thought it was going to fall apart. Shockingly terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty good. I had the what is this last thing? I was in the new 4x4 squared, and which great, like awesome,
$370,000
baby.
fucking better be.
Yeah, but it was really not good on that sort of stuff. It was great, like wheeling and rock crawling and all that. But
that
the ride
seems like a real challenge for suspension.
So again, spool valve, that's the whole thing, is that you have low speed and high speed different compression. So could it be better? Sure. The real solution is like what I sound like I work for them, but Rivian does with hydraulic dampers.
Well, yeah,
and air suspension is like it's great going there.
Yeah.
Because it's a luxury car ride.
Yeah, those fucking things are really good. The ride is excellent.
Yeah, and with these new tires I put on, like it's even better. But I haven't gone off road with it yet.
They haven't come out with, because my only real gripe with the Rivian was that you couldn't put it in two-wheel drive eco powertrain without slamming the suspension all the way down. So I wanted regular suspension.
You can, if you put it in its conserve mode, I believe you can do conserve
with regular
standard. Yeah, I'm almost positive. I'd have to look.
At the time we drove it, it wouldn't let me. I mean, it's just a set of parameters away, because it's for aerodynamics. You want lower, but in the city, I didn't need all the power, but I did want the suspension travel, and I kind of bitched about that.
And the Rivian, when it's in lowest, pretty trashy ride quality.
It's like it's cut springs. Yeah, I mean, which it basically
kind of is. Yes, yeah. So, so I talked to the engineers about that, because I thought that not only turning off the rear motors was really helpful for saving power, but also somebody told me this, that when you do lower it, the half shafts are straight. And then that was a big savings. And then this Rivian engineer was like, "That's stupid. No, it's all aero. It's all you want to. If you put it on the ground, you get that's how you increase
that half
range.
shaft thing is like the kind of thing that an engineer might tell me, and I have no choice but to believe them, because I can't come up with an explanation why it's wrong."
And an engineer told me this, and then I went back to him and said, "You told me this. And I look like an idiot with your coworkers." And he's like, "Oh, well, if you take aero out of it, straightening the half shafts is better than decoupling the rear motors." And I'm like, "But the aero." He's like, "Oh, of course, aero is most important." Thanks, Pete.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I'm contemplating eventually replacing the Mach-E with an S.
Does your R1S have the little gear whine in the back that doesn't ever go away?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No.
The truck we had did have that.
Yeah. No, I have the T, not the S.
You have the T. Okay.
Yeah, but I finally drove an S. And, you know, I would say if you're really looking for it, it's like the ride quality is 93% as good as the truck.
Oh, it's not. You think it's less good
Yeah,
than the
I know.
truck?
I know it's less good.
Why is it less good?
16 inches less wheelbase. So anytime you shorten a wheelbase, it's like, you know, it's like a 4-door versus a 2-door Wrangler. 2-door ride's way worse. This is, people made a bigger deal about it. And I know also the last R1S software update tried to address a lot of the ride quality issues. I thought it was totally serviceable.
I would happily trade 7% of the ride for fitting in a garage.
Yeah.
Which the T.
Yeah,
really.
the T is a little long. Yeah. I thought the SUV was great. You know, I did some very, very minor off-roading in it.
Probably like the same, right?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it was. You ever taken that little? It's like a bypass up on Angeles Crest. There's like an off-road bypass. It's like,
really?
Yeah. So there's like
no.
Charlton Flats.
I know where that is, yeah.
There's so you make a right instead of the left to go into the Charlton parking lot. And then it's probably 2 miles off road, and it pops out. You know how there's like that one gated thing where there's always like trucks going in and out?
Yeah.
So if you're heading down the mountain, below that is where you pop out.
Oh.
And so it's like 2 miles off road. So
Is it a
whenever
good
I have
trail?
No, it's okay. It was actually good because covered in snow, and then the rains destroyed it.
Oh.
So it was all messed up. And so it was actually at one point. I've seen like a lot of hunters go up there, so you'll see dudes in Civics with their rifles. You can get pretty deep into it, you know, just in nothing. But because of the rain, I actually had to like jack the truck up and do everything.
Yeah, depending where in the world you are, anything is an off-roader.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was one.
Yeah,
Exactly. But it's a cool, like if I have a G-Wagon or something like that, actually, if you go back to my home page, or I don't know what you call it, scroll up. You'll see the R. Scroll down. Sorry, you'll see the R. Oh, yeah, you were there. Okay, sorry. Up, right there to the left.
Oh, that's the trail.
That's the trail. And then
It's very pretty up there.
Yeah, wait. This is the video. Go back. I'm sorry. Go back. This is.
Boy, it's a real visual show today.
Thrilling podcast. Go up and one more. Yeah. Okay. There you see the snow. Mm-hmm. Because in the video I said there's snow up here, and then somebody's like, "You're lying. There's no snow." So I was like, as you can see, there's no snow.
I can attest to the fact that there is actually snow.
Yeah, but
is the S tailgate a
real tailgate?
It's a full tailgate, not a clamshell like a Range Rover.
It's clamshell like a Range Rover.
Clamshell
When
like
I
a
said
Range
real,
Rover.
like a Land Cruiser, Range Rover, BMW X5.
That I love.
Yeah, it's the greatest.
I love it. I don't want to sit on the bumper. I want to sit on the fucking tailgate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's superior.
So you can see this
is a great looking vehicle.
Oh, it's beautiful, and you can see what the trail looks like. Yeah, I didn't really.
I don't love the wheel design.
I have the same wheels in black. They look great. You just make them black.
You just got to make them black.
You make them black. Yeah. So, but it was good, man. I was impressed. I will say, I guess Throttle House did a review of the SUV, and they're like, it was oversteering like crazy. So I was driving it up, and you know that the big sweeping second gear Alpine turn on the way up. It was 41 degrees. Ambient temperature, and that's in shadows. And
You're talking about European Car Magazine corner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I call it the Alpine corner. But
yeah. No, every cover photo from European Car Magazine.
That's the one
in history. Yeah.
And man, this thing slid. Now I was on off-road tires. It was 41 degrees on the thermometer, and that's in full shadow. So it was probably frozen the night before. But I would say that the truck handles better than the SUV.
The truck handles extremely well.
Yeah, I would say this is a step down.
Like crazy how good for what it is. It's shocking how well it handles.
So I put these new tires on mine, and I lost a lot of that kind of performance. But turns out my wife, who mostly drives it, doesn't care.
Yeah.
And the ride quality is
pretty
better.
much where we're at.
Yeah, so I would be curious with like 21, 22-inch street tires on this to see what it actually does. I think maybe on the Pirellis.
I got to bug Shaheen and get one.
Yeah, this is the one. It's cool. You'll dig this one.
That's the press.
I mean,
the press vehicle.
As far as I know, I can tell you what it's doing right now too. It's
still on your fucking phone.
You're tagging it.
Yeah, well, this is kind of cool. If you do have two, you can. You just pop back and forth.
Oh, so you have multiple.
Yeah.
I love that. They assume in the app people are like, Well, what happens when people have multiple Rivians in their household?
Yeah, well, I
They
mean,
probably got that from Tesla.
Or I
think
saw,
Tesla does multiple,
Tesla did. But also, I saw the PR guy. He had 500 of these or whatever. But I can actually tell you, not only is it at 89% charge, I can tell you where this thing is.
What? Does the PR guy know where all the 500 Rivians are?
Yeah. This thing, let's see. I'm probably going to give someone's house away.
Wait, are all the cars he has on his thing those are test mules and things?
Yeah,
or
they're
privately
the
owned?
press cars.
This thing, I think maybe
probably.
Glucker has it. It looks like it's in Orange County.
It's in the Glucker.
I mean, there's Irvine. It's kind of.
Oh yeah, that's in the Glucker. No, we know he lives down there.
No, I don't want to show anyone.
Oh yeah. If they could find him from that map,
that's why I zoomed out. Yeah. But anyways, so it's in Orange County with 89% charge right now.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, it's cool. But I did a thing, so the last thing we can move on to another thing besides the Rivian, but I tinted the shit out of my roof. And so I did a thing where
out of the roof panel,
the glass. You can't even see it on mine hardly. And so it was great. From 6, whenever the sun came out, let's say 6 a.m. to noon, both trucks sat there, and it was a cold, sunny day. And it was like a 14-degree temperature differential on like a 60-degree morning.
Yeah.
So, if you can imagine if it was
that's a useful comparison, actually.
It was great. Yeah. It was very good.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I was able to and I was able to show the differential on the phone. I used my wife's phone to film it because it shows you the internal temperature.
Oh, of the truck on the app. And you can toggle back.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I was showing the trucks, and I'm like, and here's the app.
That's journalism right there.
Thank you.
That is very good.
Yes, thank you.
That's what you do when you have two of the same thing.
Thank you. Yeah, so
very good.
Tint the shit out of all glass.
Can you do
roofs.
an ambient road noise test? With the two between the tires.
Not from the app. I did do a range test with the tires.
Yeah, and what happened?
Oh yeah, don't put the Toyos on.
How bad was it?
No, it was not good.
Really?
Yeah, it I told my wife, and she's like, "Put the other tires on," But it was in 36 miles. There was a 7-mile difference. Yeah, and it was mixed up to 75 miles an hour down to 35.
That's a big difference.
It was a big difference. Yeah.
I remember when Camisa put Pilot Sport 4S's on his e-Golf, and his range went from 110 miles to 80. It was that's not good.
This has probably gone from close to 300 miles. If it was fully charged, I never did that, but it's probably 10% off that.
Yeah.
So
that could matter.
It is. I think the solution is what I need to do is get because if you put it on the 22s or the 20, I think the 21s on street tires you get 328 mile range, and on the off-road tires it's 280 or something like that. So I need to get a set for most of the time that when I go off-roading, I put on my off-road tires, and then.
I can't picture you fucking doing that, switching out tires.
I would have Zip Tire come and do it. Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Jacking up a 7,200-pound truck in your driveway.
I would have Zip Tire. I had Zip Tire put the tires on in my driveway. It was great.
Zip Tire's the best. Yeah, we use them here at Westside. They're fucking awesome.
I love them.
They are the best.
So Dakar.
We've covered a lot of Dakar, but it's just we'll do it again because it's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what you think it is. I mean, it's exactly the thing that you think it is. They use a bunch of really trick technology to make it exactly pretty much perfect in every scenario.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the only downside to it is, the cost and the availability.
Well, the cost is,
and the fact that, like we just said, it has... It handles the big bumps really well, and the small ones it still feels kind of like a sports car, and you go, wow, this lifted suspension and all this sidewall, and it still feels like a sports car.
That's what's funny though, because not that anyone's ever going to go off road, but if they do, they're probably going to do the little stuff in their Porsche, not the big, right?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't go wheeling in it. It's awesome on gravel and fire roads and
how
sand.
Far would it get on rower? Would it even get past the?
No, it wouldn't make it up that trail.
Okay.
It would be great on the service road that we talked about. It's a rally car. It's not a trophy truck.
I will say, a couple times ago, I saw a dude in a Outback Wilderness that made it all the way up rower.
Oh yeah,
we did that.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
I was like, "How did you do this?"
Yeah,
I just went as fast as I could.
We did that in a wilderness.
Momentum. That has pretty good ground clearance. And if you're selective
I just don't know how you got
way,
past that first obstacle.
That was it was dicey.
It was sketchy.
That's
but
wild.
you can't. But it's possible.
Wheel placement.
Yeah.
I guess so. Because I remember I had a
And it was a while ago, and that obstacle has gotten worse
the
over
pandemic
time.
is turning into. Have you been on the Rubicon in a couple years?
No, never.
Never.
Oh, well, A, it's awesome. B, because everybody does V8 swaps into their Wranglers on, 37-inch tires and, puts 500-pound feet into their thing. It's just all the slick rock is blown out.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
really hard to do now. But yes, the entry has gotten much
Yeah.
harder. But
The Dakar is in sand, just incredible.
oh, that's rad.
I mean, incredible.
So
and
when
it would snow, it would be incredible.
So when the press cars come, we go out to Dumont Dunes.
Pismo or
Yeah.
Dumont,
Dumont, yeah.
or even what do you call it? Glamis.
Yeah.
You'd be the king of Glamis.
Except everyone
and,
give you stink eye.
and these fucking fucking Habibis over there,
Yeah.
that really don't give a fuck. Like,
Right.
You're gonna be hard pressed to find more than a couple of people in America that will actually treat this car like you're supposed to treat it.
Right.
There's
Well-
basically Zwart, and your guess is
and
fucking
me and you
mine.
and the press, yeah.
Johnny, a more perfect press car has never existed.
Really?
It is the perfect press car because in order to appreciate it, you have to act like it doesn't exist tomorrow.
Right. AMC, ain't my car.
You have, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and what these guys did, taking us all the way out there, and we could have had a similar experience in Glamis, but global event, so people are coming from all over.
Sure.
But the fucking yurts and the mint tea and all that shit, and to be in the Sahara where the sand is that color,
Right.
that rich orange, and it's soft,
Yeah.
and just fucking do the surf the wave.
Well, I actually watched
Epic.
your video because I saw a lot of social media where it was like people were kind of crawling around. They weren't going nuts, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch Matt's video because he's probably not gonna go
sent
slow.
it. Yeah,
it was good.
Some of the other people were not going fast.
Yes, I saw their
the instructor that I worked with, and they were using instructors because they were like, look, we've scouted this, and if you go where we go, you're fine, and if you go 20 feet either way, you might sink into a hole.
So yeah, if you've never driven on sand, it's actually pretty treacherous. It's and I was in a GLS, Mercedes GLS, and I was like doing that thing where you kind of like surf the dune.
Yeah.
So as fast as you can, you kind of hang.
Yeah.
And I actually like unrolled the tire off the wheel.
Yeah. We aired down to 14 psi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the risk is when you do that, that's what happened to the GLS. The wheels will come off. The tires will come off the wheels.
Yeah.
So.
But the guy knew me, the instructor.
Yeah.
And the people there that could drive. Got to really have a proper
I talked
go.
to Evans, Scott Evans, and he was just saying that it's basically what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just sort of like he was just marveling at the price based on he's like it's kind of just 911 dampers. It's not like they didn't invent a new damper. They just linked in the arm.
Invent a new damper. No.
Yeah. So he was just a little with the price.
Yeah, but look, a fully loaded GTS with carbon buckets and lightweight glass is like $180,000
or more,
possibly more, depending on what color. So to get from a fully loaded
it's
Carrera
a $40,000
GTS,
jump. Yeah,
it's $40,000. But you couldn't do that in the aftermarket for $40,000. You're not redesigning the bumpers.
No,
you're
I
not
agree.
redesigning the cooling system.
Well,
get all
they
that.
moved the cooling system.
Yeah.
That's pretty significant.
Well, so let me ask you this: Did you ask him why is it limited?
No.
Okay, because that's my real why bother limiting it? Just make it regular production.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's an interesting question.
Drive secondary market.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Yeah, and maybe because the 992.2 is coming, and so this is the hurrah of that generation, and they've already got production constraints, and what have you.
It just seemed like a weird thing to limit. But like the Sterrato, the Lambo version, is also limited, which I didn't know. I thought it'd be regular production, but it's like 1,500 global units or something.
Yeah, that one might be limited by as many as they can sell.
Well, I think they're going to sell a ton of those.
I think they will too, and I don't. I think it's cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I drove the prototype, and it was like, I knew it would be pretty cool in the sand because why would they fly you all the way out there? But it was rad. They had on the test track.
Yeah.
And it was like having that much sidewall and then having like long-ish travel suspension for an Huracan was like fantastic.
So it was that no one would say this on the record, but off the record, they told me they ran the Dakar at the Nürburgring, and it's limited to 149 miles an hour. Despite that, it runs the same time as a 996 GT3 on those tires.
Okay,
that's moving.
That's good. Yeah, that's great.
That's good. If you're boss enough to fucking send it, Zwart. Who is it meant for? Like Habibis and Zwart.
What tires was the 996 GT3 on when it ran that time? Do you know? Like,
it was on the Pilot Sport Cup 1.
Pilot Sport Cup,
right? So even before P4S,
and so that meant there was like a drop of rain.
Yeah.
It was in the the Armco.
I was very impressed with the overall thing, and I did call my dealer. I didn't make that up in the video. I called my dealer and I said, "What's the deal?" And he was like, "It's just like Sport Classic. It's
not for you, son."
He was like, you want to be on the list? Maybe we can get you one. It's going to be, and I have a great relationship with them. I paid sticker for my Spider.
Sure.
And they were like, this is not sticker. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I was like, I cannot, I don't have it in me to send my own car the way that I did in this.
Yeah.
Dude, the fucking rotors of these cars, sand in the rotors, like they were scored to hell. There's sand all over the place. And I was like, I don't know when in between my day job of testing cars, I'm going to go, you know what I want to do right now?
Right.
Go out to the middle of the desert and beat the shit out of my own car.
Right.
Because the skid plates were pretty dinged up on these.
So do you know if Zwart is getting one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. He sent me spec, everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, this is the Zwart car.
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
it.
No. I get
there's
that.
no better customer for one of these things. He's got his color picked out. He's got...
Is he doing pikes in it? No.
No. It's a road car. It's a road car. It's just for his just for rolling around in Aspen.
Yeah.
And he's the guy. He's the guy
it'd be
for
perfect.
It.
Yeah. No,
and he's doing
agree.
the right move. He's getting, I hope I'm not blowing up his spot, but he's getting, standard is carbon buckets, optional 18 ways, zero cost.
And he's getting the 18-way?
Yeah, that's the move.
Yeah,
100%.
I like the carbon buckets, but I know a lot of people
They're
don't
cool
like
for what they are, but if you actually want to use this thing for a daily driver, those are good.
Yeah, I just fit in the bucket, so I like them. But yeah,
I fit in them too. It's not about fitting in them; it's about crawling over that hard sill. When you're getting in and out of them.
It is tough.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Bravo, they do a nice job.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Please go watch our fucking video because I lost all kinds of money making this thing.
So last time I was with Maurizio Reggioni of Lamborghini.
Love Maurizio.
The great. He retired.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
When?
He's a while ago.
A while ago?
Yeah, like
months?
December.
Oh,
no.
damn
December
it, really?
last year.
Really?
It's been a while.
I didn't know he retired.
Yeah, well, he's still doing. I just saw him at Daytona. He's still doing motorsports, but that guy Ruben. Oh my God, Dr. Crazy Official on Instagram. Reuven Moore is now the head of R&D. He's the right guy. He's the guy who developed the Ken Block's Audi.
Oh,
he's the right guy for Lamborghini.
Okay.
Literally, his name is Dr. Crazy.
Cool.
Like he's great.
I'm pro Dr. Crazy.
Yeah. So and Dr. Crazy worked on the Sterrato.
Splash.
Yeah. But anyway, so this is it's over a year ago now. So I was with Maurizio. I forget where we were driving. We were in Italy. It was a Technica prototype. Anyways, and he was telling me, he's like, Johnny, he goes, I was like, what's up with Sterrato? Because I drove it like 3 or 4 years ago. I drove it before the pandemic, and he goes, we're doing it. I go, what? He goes, yeah. When Winkleman came back, he said, Porsche's doing, at the time it was the Safari. But he actually told me the name to car. But he's like, Porsche's doing a Safari 911, and Winkleman said, let's beat him to market. And I'm like, really? That's right. Like, I'm not the world's biggest Winkleman fan, but like, all right. So
Is it actually on market right now, Sterrato?
I don't think they've launched it yet, but it's. I mean, they're all sold.
Of course they are.
Yeah, of course they are. But if you want one, let me know because I know
they're all
guy.
sold, but not really.
Well, I was talking to. I'm going to leave his name out of it, but a mutual friend of ours. Really wants one, and I was talking to a guy who's very high ranking at Lambo currently, and I said, my friend really wants one, but they're all sold. And he goes, well, if he really wants one, we can sit tight.
Limited to by how many we can sell is what I'm trying to say.
It's one of those things, right? So everybody orders it.
Yeah.
There's a 1,500 get ordered, and a third drop out.
Yeah.
Because crypto went down, divorce, all the typical reasons, right?
yeah,
Death, cocaine overdose, all the things that afflict the thems, right?
That afflict the
rich people problems.
the affluenza has taken them.
I got hit by affluenza, and my favorite recently was Sergio. You know Sergio because he got your thing.
Yeah.
Your Smart.
The seized smart car.
But he on January 2nd, I'll never forget. He saw that meme going around where it's like, I can tell my wife I haven't bought a car all year. January 3rd, he's like, I bought a Bentley on accident. And I was like, what? He goes, it was on Bring a Trailer and it was such a low price. I put in a bid as a joke and it won.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Well,
you don't wave hello to somebody at an auction, friends.
Yeah. Well,
You ever see that happen?
I did an auction. I did the RM auction. And what happens is, they're 3 hours long. And it's an open bar.
Yeah.
So the third hour, there's a lot of waving. There's a lot of weird.
Dude, I saw that once at a Gooding or RM. Someone gets some waves, and the auctioneer goes, kung, kung, kung. Sir, you're at an auction. Do you understand what waving means?
Right. No, because they're just trained. The guys, and not only
they're fucking eagle-eyed over here.
Here's the thing, I didn't realize was it's not just the auctioneer who sees them. There's like 18.
Yeah, no, the people standing on boxes. Yeah,
yeah, but they're like artillery spotters. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. That was a weird experience.
Yeah, don't toss in a bid and Bring a Trailer unless you're ready.
Well, he owns a beautiful Bentley Azure.
Oh, an Azure.
Yeah, like a real Bentley.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man, those Arnages are looking nice, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of Bentleys that are looking really nice.
Well, your boy over here is now a car dealer and can go to fucking Mannheim and fucking snag some shit.
Well, I think we've talked about
that
this.
Azure,
Yeah. So he's got one of them. But we've talked about this. Like, the way to do it is to get a blank check that's $20,000 or so, and go to Barrett Jackson.
Yeah,
because they just clear Bentleys at like Red Label, Turbo R's, and they're all like $19,000.
At Meekum, they have that room that's like the bid goes on.
Yeah,
where it doesn't sell, and it's basically a write-in bid after that. That room is full of gold.
Yeah, because it's not the audience for Bentleys, but like all the local dealers are dumping their used stock.
Yeah.
And I
went up to Donny's to check in on my red car.
yeah,
which is going well, actually.
Okay.
Believe it or not. He's at Retromobile right now shopping for parts.
Nice. Not for your car.
Yeah.
Oh,
for my car, among others. He's got 5 or 6 projects going right now, and he's at Retromobile shopping.
We got to get to Retromobile.
I know.
He's
he was so mad that I didn't want to go. I'm like, Donny, you give me 4 days notice to go to Paris. I would love to go, and I'd love to go with Donny. I bet it's a fucking shit show over there.
Retromobile is insane.
All the pictures on Instagram look amazing.
Wait, what is it?
It's like the SEMA for vintage cars in Europe.
It's in Paris. Everyone I've talked to is just like
it's a trade show, but not really.
Like, it's where Jonathan Ward is amongst his people. You know what I mean? Like he goes, and it's just like
Simon Kidston.
Yes,
and fucking
Kidston's there.
Yeah, and John Bothwell's over there for Persang. Look, that in theory it's a trade show, but really it's like the greatest vintage car market in the world.
Yeah, it's humongous.
But Donny, he showed me he's got a shopping list of stuff for my car that he can get over there.
So I'd like to, by the way, once he actually gets it back, I'd like to drive it, because I've driven your car several times before you owned it. And my
everybody did.
Yes, the village bicycle, the Sant'Agata bicycle. But my most of my opinion about Countachs were formed from driving that thing.
Yeah.
And
I have the magazine that you wrote the story. I still have it in my file.
It was still Countach is still my favorite car. It just didn't drive as well as my 12-year-old self imagined.
The condition is very important, right? Like Andrew Franco on his podcast, I know you saw him at Dakar.
Yeah.
But they did a list of like the top supercars like we actually hated.
Yeah.
And his first one was the Countach, but he's like, but I admit the one I drove had this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong.
Yeah, it's highly.
It's hard.
The funny thing is,
assess.
like, neither of us know because my car, other than a service and a clutch, my car was as you drove it until a couple months ago. But Donny's found some things. Not only was the suspension very tired, and the brakes were very tired.
Had a bent control arm.
It had a bent control arm, and a bunch of other really interesting shit.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you see the water pump thing?
Yeah, that was fantastic.
So you know when that was done?
No.
2001.
Okay.
That's been like that the whole time.
Since our whole David.
I mean, it's crazy. Before David. That's
what I was
before
saying, since David.
before him.
Yeah.
And so, my 328 when I bought it, I thought that was kind of how it was supposed to be, with a little room to play.
Yeah.
Until I found out what it could be, and then I was like, "Fuck me! This is what this is supposed to be." Like, the Countach was the most expensive car in the world when it was sold.
It really was.
And so, I look forward to finding out what it can be.
I would just say this though: I drove the very last Countach.
Yeah, the silver 25th anniversary.
25th anniversary, and
kept by Lamborghini.
Kept by Lamborghini, factory condition. Thing was perfect. It drives like yours. It's not a very good car.
Well, Donny, Donny thinks.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, he's an optimist. You wouldn't know that to hear him talk about anything, but he's an optimist.
Okay.
He thinks when he's done, my car will have 50 to 75 extra horsepower.
Well, your car, okay. The first time I drove that thing, that article you mentioned, I was doing a comparison with a 512 TR. Now, to be fair, it should have been a Testarossa, but the only thing that looked like that I could source was a 512 TR. So it was an 86. Yours an 86?
88.
88. So the 88 Lamborghini.
But a 512 TR is a 90 and 91.
93.
91,
it was a 93.
Yeah.
Okay, but, so we did a little...
Splash?
No, I'm good.
We did a little impromptu drag race. Ferrari, decimated the Lambo.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, well, I'm like, newer engine. And then we
512 TR also has a 6-speed, not a 5-speed.
Yeah,
right?
and 512 TR is also sweet as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like...
they're lovely
That's
cars.
kind of my favorite Ferrari. I mean, not my favorite, but top... I love them.
That flat motor's got big torque.
Big torque, but also just gorgeous, comfortable, fun to drive, blah, blah, all that. Anyways, then we did some left-right stuff, and it was, the difference was shocking how much better the Ferrari was to drive.
Well,
shocking.
Yeah, no, the Lamborghini's not. It never even pretended to be that. The Lamborghini is a high-speed Grand Tourer.
Yeah.
Even despite how it looks.
Yeah.
It's got a 30-gallon fuel tank.
30-gallon fuel tank
and a big trunk.
Yeah, big-ish.
And it's really meant for highway.
Agreed. I was like, it's still my favorite car.
No. Even I will admit that objectively, if I wasn't me, and I didn't have the dream, objectively, the Testarossa and the 512 CR is a better car.
And I've driven...
I'd rather, if I was going to use one as a car, the 512 is a better fucking car.
Because I've driven early Testarossas, and they're pretty poor. They're actually pretty bad vehicles. At least, I don't know the condition the one I drove was in. I've driven two. Once I got to 512, they had ironed the kinks
it was great.
out.
Yeah.
Is 512
really good.
ergonomically better for you than the Countach?
Oh, anything's better.
Anything's ergonomically better than
the
a
only
Countach.
the only thing worse than a Countach is the 25th anniversary Countach because
with those seats, seats take up so much space.
I'm not tall. I think I'm shorter than you. I'm 5'11" on a good day, right?
Yeah.
And I not only do you have to take your shoes off, but my not only in your car my head almost touches if I sit up straight.
Yeah.
But I was slouching with my head turned and I was still hitting the roof.
Yeah.
In this thing,
I've found a way to adjust my seats so that they're shoved against the firewall as low and far back, and it's great. Without my shoes off, it's great.
Yeah.
I just graze.
Yeah,
The head just grazes.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I fit okay in
but
your
those
car.
25th anniversary
Were they
cars.
mounted
Look
higher?
at those. Look at that Barca lounger.
So
Pull up that picture, Zach, in another tab. Get the interior from a 1986 Countach.
And
Because you can't believe that they decided to put these fucking seats.
Their power. That was the thing. Their power seats.
Look what they started with.
No, I know. They're fantastic.
Like, why did this seat need power? Look at the second row on the left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got this sculpted bucket that fits into the opening that it goes in perfectly. And it's manual, but it's got a tilt. It tilts.
Look at that.
I mean, that's insane.
And they're way uglier. Let's be
heinous.
honest.
They're heinous looking.
For scale, look how much longer the seatbelt support is here.
Yeah.
So that's on the regular or on yours, and then when you go to the 25th,
It's
like 3 inches shorter.
It's
So
inches.
that's the difference in headroom.
Yeah.
That's a
Wow.
great thing. People.
And that seat is flat as a board. It's like out of a Chrysler LeBaron.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It's so dull looking.
yeah. No, so
And the outside of that, of
And-
the 25th, is also a little.
yeah, it is. It is. I will say, without the wing and the gray that I drove, it was raining. It was kind of. But I will say, driving a Countach for 4 hours in the rain was like the biggest joke.
Yeah.
The photographer, because I was
But
like,
the photos look great.
they were amazing. But I was shuttling the photographer around.
Yeah.
And there's no ventilation, let's be honest. So he was just leaning forward and cleaning the window in front of me. And then once he was out of the car, I couldn't see.
But the anniversary car has automatic climate control.
Bullshit. Automatic. Oh, it means something different in it.
Yeah. My air conditioning works good.
Well, look, it was the defroster that didn't do anything.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we're gonna see
Yeah.
what this car was like the day it left the factory.
But it doesn't.
It's actually gonna be better.
My point is, it doesn't matter. It's still the greatest car of all time.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And it's not about dynamics. It's
Yeah.
not about objectivity.
No,
None of that shit matters.
get it back to where
But
it
at the
should
same
be.
time,
Yeah.
I'm very excited and interested to find out.
Yeah.
With brand new bushings and brand new shocks and brand new brakes.
Oh.
The smog shit all removed.
Right.
And to see what this car can be
Right.
is very exciting.
No,
You
totally.
get to have a first-time owner experience almost.
Yes.
But with the knowledge of the cars you've driven, the modern cars you've driven.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question though. So you're like 7 or 8 years younger than me. How you're 40? 41.
41.
All right, you're 6.5, 7 years. All right. So for me, I have this vivid, distinct memory. I was 9 years old, so you were 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I was in Montreal, and there was a Ratio whatever colored Countach sitting on the cobblestones of old Montreal. We were back visiting my dad's family, and it literally rewired my brain.
Yeah.
And my dad, who liked cars, he let me stand there for a half hour, and I just never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
you know?
that's cool.
And again, imagine the orange car. Again, it was probably overcast and gray cobblestones.
Yeah.
And I just,
Yeah.
So do you have that connection to it?
Yes.
Because it wasn't Diablo by the time you were conscious of.
No, I was conscious of cars from a very young age.
Okay.
And when we lived in Atlanta, we moved to Atlanta when I was 5. So this would have been 1986.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There was a gray market because there were no Lamborghini dealers, right?
Right.
There were gray market importers.
Yeah.
There was
LA
one-
had a couple, but yeah.
There
yeah.
might have been a couple, but
Yeah.
I certainly didn't.
I had a neighbor
didn't-
not a neighbor, a guy who lived on the rich part of the hill who had a Yalpa.
Cool.
No.
But those are kind of cool.
I mean, if you're
But
in a venereal disease.
If you
yes,
saw
very-
one today, you'd go, wow, cool.
I mean, and then it's like, oh, it has a transverse V8.
Yeah. So does my 328, dick.
Hey,
but there was a place called Formula One Imports in Atlanta, and the only reason you may have ever heard of them is because they had the advertisement on the back cover of the DuPont registry from 1980 to 1997.
know him well.
Yeah.
I know him very well.
Big
yeah,
grid,
sure.
all the
Yeah,
cars.
Yeah.
And so they would get the Lambos. So I grew up maybe a couple miles from there when I was younger, and I would make my parents take me there every weekend.
Right.
And I, for an 8-year-old or whatever the fuck I was,
Right.
I knew a lot about cars.
Sure.
I knew the stats from the magazine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And
Dad,
so
the
the guy
Countach
who
is
was
fire.
there's some very embarrassing pictures of me as a young kid in
No
this
kidding.
fucking place.
These things
So-
mob.
the guy who would let me sit in all the cars. He'd let me
Yeah.
under the velvet ropes.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's pictures of me in a Countach, and
Okay.
an LM002, and a Diablo, and a Testarossa, and all this shit.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so I knew about it.
Okay.
I knew
yeah.
about it.
I was just curious because
Yeah.
I'm right at that age. You know, I mean, okay, I was born 2 years, 3 years after the Countach
Plus,
came out.
my dad got me when I was a young the Alpine poster that was like the 6
Yeah.
foot
Oh, yeah.
white Alpine
I
poster
probably
that hung over my
had-
bed forever.
Yeah, I probably had 4 Countach posters, if not more. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just insane. Because there's kids. There were stores that you went to in the mall that sold posters. Like
The one that's in my office,
Yeah.
that's the car's the same color as mine. It's not mine, but it's the same one. Was the best-selling poster from Sam Goody.
Yeah.
In 1987.
I had that poster.
Jeff Zwart shot it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
He found an original at his place. He brought it over. He signed it, and it's hanging in my office. And that is Jeff Zwart
That's insane.
for the road and track top speed shootout that the Roof Yellowbird ended up winning.
And that was like the greatest article of all time.
But there's no posters of the Roof Yellowbird. It's all Countach.
But you know what sucks is that, not sucks, this is the wrong word. What's crazy, like Zwart did everything. I've seen pictures of Zwart at San Agata in a dumpster. He's literally in a dumpster that a forklift has raised up, and he's hanging over the edge of the dumpster shooting Countaches and LMO 02s in 87.
Hey, this is gonna be fun. You're having espresso. You get in a dumpster.
Could you imagine climbing a dumpster at the Lamborghini factory? Like what the like he's done. It's one of those. He's like it's like The Simpsons did it. It's like everything you liked as a child.
Yeah.
We had. I don't even remember this. Seinfeld had it in the first couple seasons. There's that picture. It's a 911 jumping.
Yeah.
And it had your last name as a license plate.
Yeah.
So for some reason, the Porsche dealer mailed us one, Lieberman. It was hanging in our laundry room my whole childhood because my dad loved cars, and he let me hang it up in the laundry
that
room.
one.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's that.
That was hanging in my laundry room my entire.
I believe that's the 964 Turbo.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Zwart took that picture.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but like my whole life, not only was I reading Road and Track and seeing his stuff, but like every time I walked in the garage, that was staring you dead in the face.
Look at the droop on those.
Yeah.
Wheels. It almost looks like Dakar.
All of those. That
It
one
really
on the
does.
bottom right, the look at it this way.
Yeah.
He did all of those.
No,
all
I know.
those famous Porsche ads
campaigns.
from the 90s. Those are all Zwart.
And he's nice.
yeah.
That's the crazy
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Not
He's
a dick.
nice. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, so wild.
There was he did the math for us when he was on the show like 3 years ago, and he was like, that period in the 90s when Porsche was losing all that money. He's like, every 911 sold had like $3,000 of Zwart marketing value behind it based on what they paid me and what they made that year.
that's rad. Good for him. Good
Yeah,
for him.
what a G.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yes.
the car will be great, but Donnie's shopping for parts in retro mobile.
I mean, hey, French parts for your Italian car? Why not? Why not?
He called me the other day, and he's very happy with how it's going, and I was like, Donnie, when are you going to take the motor out with the crane so I can come there and video that? And he's like, I don't know if I want the pressure of the video cameras. He's like, people are hitting me up now because they see me in the videos. He's like, I don't want to. And I go, it's okay. If you don't want to show it, you don't want to show it. He's like, no, I'm going to fucking show it. I'm going to show it. You're going to come. You got to get it. You got to get it.
Have you been down to? Oh God, I'm on blank. His dad was Franco in the Valley. Oh my God, this is horrible. I love you.
Yes.
I can't remember your name.
It's not. I know who you're talking about.
It's like It's not Dominic. Yes, him.
It might be.
It might be. It's not. Anyway, Paul's friend.
Yeah.
Shit. I was on a freaking TV show with him. I hate this right now.
He was cool.
He's
I know
the
what you're
greatest.
talking about. He's cool.
But if you go to his shop, he's got a Lamborghini V12 with transmission out at all times, and a Ferrari 12 with a transmission out.
Oh, those TR motors
Yeah.
are enormous. When you take them
he had a
out.
dude. He has like a. Oh my God, I can't.
But
believe-
unlike
I
the
think
Lambo,
it's
with a-
subframe. You drop the subframe on those.
With a
right?
you drop
Ferrari,
the whole
with a
car, the whole
Ferrari,
half of
you
it.
take
Yeah.
the whole. You take the back bumper off, and then it kind of comes all down together. Donnie, it's got to come out the top.
Yeah.
With the shifter lever in the fucking transmission.
Yeah.
So the shifter lever has to do a loop-de-loop.
Yeah.
around
Oh, it's
the whole
wild.
You need 3 people just to spot it and go back.
3 people
up,
and an
back,
airplane
up,
engine
It's not
hoist.
Dominic.
Oh my
What's his,
God.
anyways, I was there, and he had a dude who's like a flat 12 Ferrari Colombo guy.
Yeah. Most importantly, shout out to Franco's European.
Franco's European.
Yeah,
I feel so bad. Anyway, but this dude, and he's sitting there. You know what shims are? Like, like 1/32 of an inch shims, and it's this guy who just like lives in the neighborhood who comes over and he's just like shimming away.
Oh, it's the shim guy.
I guess I don't know.
Wait, for
apparently,
valve adjustment?
he's just an expert on the flat 12. Franco's mostly does Lambo stuff.
Yeah.
Wait,
He's got a cool Diablo.
What was he shimming? Was it for valve tolerance?
Yeah, who knows? Just shit on the engine. I mean, first of all, the engine is as big as your table with the transmission.
It's gigantic.
I want to
you want
switch
to try
to
the other one?
Uncle
Or when you
Nearest.
finish, you can try the Uncle Nearest.
Yeah.
Will
We've
you
got
water me?
2. Water?
Please.
Oh, yeah. Fine, bitch.
Thank God.
Sorry. That's rad, though. I mean, good for you for getting that thing running.
It's important because it's not to sell. It's the next 20 years. I wanted to drive. Now that I know how good the Ferrari is, and I'm gonna fucking drive the piss out of that thing. Now it's like, oh, that's what the end result looks like with this. Like,
right.
And if you've got an '80s car, even if it's low miles,
Yeah,
even if
everything
it's nice,
needs. Yeah,
all
the shocks
all
are
the
dead.
rubber is dunzo.
Yeah,
Just
of course.
eat the dick and do it because, damn. I mean, my car was. For a car that I drove to Donny, it didn't go there broken.
No, I've probably driven your car before you owned it. I don't know, 3 times, and like it always drove. It never stumbled or anything weird.
Yeah, no, it was a tough car.
Yeah.
But
Strong
also
engine.
that we had this funky ass computer in there that was designed, I believe, or not designed, but programmed, I believe, to make the thing pass smog. Which which going through my service records was a very fun adventure. Turns out this car wouldn't pass smog in any fucking state. There was nothing you could do.
Right.
It's not pass
Well,
smog.
it also had, when I drove it, I feel like it had like weird exhaust on it, right?
It has a Bertoni exhaust.
Yeah, so
V12 engineering, Al Bertoni exhaust.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with it. That's after the cats.
Oh, that is after the.
Yeah,
okay,
it's
so it
after the
still
cat.
has cats.
No.
Oh yeah, okay, I was gonna say, yeah. I was gonna say, well, does yours?
But even with the cats, it didn't pass smog.
Does yours still with? You haven't seen it with a new computer, because what I loved about we did the thing where David drove it down to Palm Springs, and it was like February, so it was coldish, and left it overnight, and so I in the morning got the cold started, and it went like, and it was like it spent like 2 minutes at like a very high idle until it got warm,
an
and
ice
then it
cold
dropped.
start. Yeah, it idles at 2,000
Yes.
for about a minute,
Yeah,
and then it drops to it even stock. It's supposed to idle at about 1,400.
Oh, okay.
It's a very high idle.
Yeah, so
I confirmed. I thought for some, it seemed high. And so I talked to John Tamarian and all the curated guys. And this was when Vinny was working down there. And I was like, check every Countach. Where are these supposed to idle? And he was like, 1,300 to 1,500. I was like, oh, fucking great. Perfect.
But is that 2,000 thing normal?
Yes.
Okay, that's just
Cold
heats the
start.
oil.
It's cold start.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
and when you start it, it does this really cool thing where you can hear it fire one cylinder at a time.
oh, it's the greatest.
And it goes pop, pop, pop.
And
I thought that was bad.
Yeah.
And then I read Harry Metcalf's review, and he talked about the symphony of individual pops. And I was like, yes, that means it works.
So, because I'm like, obviously, like a good sounding car is a good sounding car. But, to me, it's like, they're all kind of just loud, whatever. But I remember that Countach when it was doing that cold start. I was like,
it's fucking
I was like,
great.
that's like a real...
It's a snarl.
Yeah, it's really
a
aggressive.
fucking nice snarl.
But then I was like, the rest of the car is kind of... But like I said, still my favorite car.
No. I mean, like, look, I don't need to defend the dynamics of it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I remember years ago, I was driving around in a Valentino Balboni with Valentino Balboni, and I probably told this story
we're
before.
getting some parts from him.
Oh yeah,
he's got a vintage Lambo parts business now.
Of course he does.
Side hustle.
Of course he does.
Yeah,
but we were like, we were stuck in traffic, and like, there's only, the Valentino Balboni Gallardo was fine. It was very cool. Rear drive,
stick shift, rear drive Gallardo.
Yeah, it was cool. But we're sitting in like Beverly Hills traffic, not moving. You run out of stuff to talk about. So I was like, how do I salvage this? Tell me about the first time you saw the Countach. And he's like, oh, the Countach. It's a spaceship. And he's like, the Countach. He goes, the power, the handling, the brakes. Yeah, he does the cross.
Yeah, I mean, with those little ass wheels, you can't. The brakes are not good.
Yeah. But he also. Can I tell this story? I can tell this story. He's not going to care. He was saying, I think it was a Miura. He said he delivered a Miura to San Francisco, and the guy lived near Lombard Street and the crazy twisty part.
Yeah.
And, they're like on their 10th bottle of wine, and the guy's like, there's no way you could drive down Lombard Street at 40 miles an hour. Balboni's like, yes, there is. Whatever speed it was, some
The statute of limitations is over on this one. But
I mean, he told me the story like over 12 years ago, so I've held it off a podcast till now.
Yeah.
But he was telling me like wasted, in the 60s.
if you're Italian and in the 60s, somehow it's okay.
And, by the way, I mean, you're maybe not, old, but like drunk driving wasn't a thing until about 1985.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody was fucking
and if you go to certain
wasted.
states, it's still kind of.
Louisiana is not.
I mean,
a thing.
can you believe that there are still states where you can drive with an open container?
Yeah, Texas.
That's crazy.
I think Texas, you can have an open beer. That's where 24-ounce cans come from.
It's crazy.
I was in Louisiana one time. They have these like daiquiri drive-through, which is like, it's like birthday cake mix with Everclear. I mean, it's just garbage. And we went, and I remember they hand us these, and it's like 64-ounce styrofoam cups full of grain alcohol. And they hand us these, and they have little paper over the top of the straw, so it's not an open container.
Oh, really? That counts? The paper on the straw?
That's not open. It's not an open container. And I remember, and we got there was 5 of 6 of us in this car, and and it's 64 ounces. I mean, the big, and
the Smoking Tire does not condone any of this alleged behavior.
Well, yeah. This is what years ago, 15 years. God, I'm old. 14 years ago. But I remember we turned to the lady. We're like, "Can we drink these in the car?" And she goes, "I don't see why not." And we're drinking. It was I had like Snoop was the flavor of my drink.
You got your hands and thumbs, don't you?
We're driving around Donaldsonville, Louisiana, and that's what
crazy.
you do. And it was and the other thing I think this is true. I could be out of date. In Louisiana, if you get pulled for drunk driving, it's the penalty is the federal minimum, and this is just so they can get matching highway money. So it's like $50.
What?
Yeah. It's like it's nothing.
We're gonna need a lawyer to confirm that.
Yeah, this is as of a while ago. I mean, it used to be in Montana, not drunk driving.
Montana was
If you got a speeding ticket, it was $5, and
Yeah.
it was good for 24 hours. So if you got pulled over again, you just showed them the ticket. Like, oh, yep, it's already paid.
Yes.
The fine in Louisiana for your first DUI conviction is $300 to $1,000.
Wow, that's
Imprisonment,
so cheap.
Imprisonment 10 days to 6 months, depending on things.
Okay,
of course.
I'm a little out of it. But in California, it's like 10 grand, and it
I think
ruins
in Cali,
your
it's
life.
like 10 grand, incling like the court fees and the penalties.
But
and
it
everything.
ruins your life.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's like,
And I mean, look, I'm not against it, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, I'm against drunk driving.
don't drive
I'm not
drunk. Don't drive
Don't
drunk.
drive drunk.
yeah.
It's crazy that these are the laws in place.
Yeah, but I remember like when I think it was about 85, 84 when it suddenly was a thing. Like it wasn't. I mean, first of all, seatbelts weren't even a thing before.
Yeah,
then.
no. Yeah,
And
people
it's-
would drive wasted.
Yeah, and then like suddenly,
And then they'd like escort you, give you a ride home.
yeah. But it became illegal. So it was probably always frowned upon.
Yeah.
Cops weren't into it.
But there was a lot of, do you think you can get home, Mr. Johnson? Like there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
In the 50s and stuff.
Yeah, and then it's still in small towns. It's like, let me drive you home.
Yeah.
Which that would be nice. But.
Yeah, down the 405,
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know certain towns where they do that.
Are you going to go to the NASCAR race this weekend?
No, because I'm going to be in Bahrain.
What's in Bahrain?
The Aston Martin Valkyrie is in Bahrain.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. You get to drive it.
I get to drive it.
The road version.
6 laps.
Really?
6
God
laps.
damn.
3 and 3, baby. 3 and 3.
That's crazy.
I was trying to figure out. I was talking to Jethro because I think Jethro's coming out. What is the 6 laps is pretty low.
That's a small number of laps.
What's the most you've flown for the least amount of laps?
I can tell you straight away.
Yeah.
There's 2 and it's a tie mostly. One you were there for. Portugal, Aventador SVJ.
Oh, that was like lap. Well, how many laps was that?
I personally did 7 laps of Estoril, and I did 3 more than you did because I specifically requested
doing
video time.
I was doing video too, but I also distinctly remember like hitting the brakes on that straight, and there was no traction on that track. And I love Lamborghini.
Just repaid it.
I love Lamborghini. I love Maurizio. Lambos can't fucking brake in a straight line to save their lives. They cannot do high-speed braking.
I found that for a reason. I mean, the car was cool. It was cool.
That track sucked that day.
The track sucked that day because they had just repaved it. It was greasy.
It was
shit.
glass. It was like driving on glass.
It was sketchy.
Yeah,
it was. But you were there, and a couple other people that I really liked were there.
It was a great trip.
I remember enjoying myself. Well, despite that ratio.
Remember we had gin and tonics bigger than our skulls,
fish bowls
with cigars.
We had great Cuban cigars, and we had fish bowls of gin and tonic.
And that Saudi guy who was amazing. I forget his name.
The Saudi guy.
He was like Abdullah.
I don't know, but he was awesome.
He was great. He was great.
So there was that, and then there was the Audi R8 GT that I did recently, which I went to Spain for, and I got 6 laps of a not Formula One rated track.
Okay, well this is an F1 track, and
Bahrain's fucking far, dude.
Bahrain's far.
That's it's almost the farthest place you could go from Los Angeles.
It's 17 hours.
That's so. But it's direct.
Whoa. No.
Where do you go through?
All right, this is a long story. I'm going to keep very brief. There was many terrible options. One of them got me to Istanbul, but I had a lot of people, but with a tight connection. And I asked, and everyone's like,
Habibi, no.
That's the largest airport in the world by a factor of 1,000.
Wait, is it?
I don't know.
Istanbul.
That's what many people, including my wife, who's been there, told me.
The largest airport in the world.
Well, it might. I don't know if it's the largest, but it might also seem like the largest just because of the layout. But they're like, you'll never make a tight connection in Istanbul, and I have to check a bag.
That I believe.
I have to check a bag
because of racing gear, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to try the Uncle Nearest?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the airport has 6 runways.
Wow, fucking 6?
6 runways?
It takes up
Thank God for Zach.
Can we see it?
820 million.
Can we get it on Google Maps?
820 million square feet.
Oh my God, really?
Okay,
maybe
so
that. Can we see it on Google Maps?
Zach,
please?
say it again. It's the world's largest what?
Some experts say is the world's largest airport.
Okay, so I had
I
several,
thought that I didn't believe you, but like, wow.
I had
Can we see the
several
Google Maps,
people
please?
tell me this because I looked at the flight and I was like, that was the best way to go. So it's 14 hours to Turkey, then an hour to Bahrain from Istanbul. But I had, including my wife, they're like, you'll never make a tight connection. You'll never do it.
She's probably right.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's get a satellite view. Look at that motherfucker.
That's a big. That's a city.
Wow.
That's bigger than. That's bigger than Manhattan.
Dude, look at look at the scale. It's like 4 miles horizontally.
Okay, yeah. So
that's a beast. Of
so I'm not doing that. I'm doing LA Heathrow Bahrain. So
okay, Heathrow's okay for a connection.
So it's
It's not on the way.
It's not on the way at all. I'm doing a 10-hour flight and a 6.5-hour flight.
And with how long of a layover?
Oh, like 2-3 hours. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I'll get like an hour. You'll be able to use the toilet in the lounge.
I've said this a million times, but the Dakar was.
Oh, I heard it was horrible.
LA. I mean, look, it wasn't. It was LAX to JFK.
Yeah.
JFK to Lisbon.
Yeah.
Land at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Stay the day and the night in Lisbon.
Worst places to be.
No, it was lovely.
Yeah.
It was lovely.
Oh, I love Lisbon.
But then fly to Morocco the next day.
Right. On a charter.
On a charter.
Yeah.
Drive the car.
Good charter, bad charter.
Fine charter.
I've been on the bad charters.
I know.
No, it was fine. It was one of those Embraers, like a regional jet, where it's 1 seat on one side and 2 on the other side.
I was on a Scottish charter. I'll leave it at that.
It was totally fine.
Okay,
but land at noon.
Yeah,
drive the Dakar in the afternoon. Stay the night. Drive the car in the morning, and then reverse the whole thing.
No, I heard by awful. I heard it was just very time intensive.
It was just long. It was long as fuck.
Yeah,
it was long as fuck. But we got a lot. We did get a lot. Luke was like, I know it's long. You're going to get a bunch of seat time. And it's going to be cool as shit. And he wasn't lying.
Did you do anything good in Lisbon?
So Scott Evans from MotorTrend.
Yeah.
Respect.
Oh yeah.
Do you know that he is like an expert on Lisbon?
I didn't know that, but I know he knows more about wine than anybody in the industry.
I was like, hey, Scott, like we flew together.
Yeah.
Along with Dan Edmonds, who is great.
Love Dan.
Love Dan Edmonds.
Also, the guy you want to have off-road.
Yeah, no, he
knows everything.
So Dan and Scott shared a car, and then I shared a car with, oh, God damn it.
The guy from Franco's.
Oh, my God.
Damien.
No,
I think from Franco's Damien. Sorry.
I'm gonna remember this. To say.
What
he
outlet?
was great.
We've drank a lot.
It was free. He was freelance. He was writing for like 3 or 4. He used to be with CNET.
Tim Stevens.
Yes. Very good, and thank you.
Tim Stevens is a very nice gentleman.
I'm very sorry to Tim Stevens for not immediately
yes.
He was great.
Yeah,
he was great. He was a great co-driver.
Yeah.
Great driver and a very nice guy.
He's a good driver. He actually is a good driver.
But we got to Lisbon, and I was like, I've been traveling for a while. I want to go walk around the city. Scott, you want to go for a walk? And he's like, okay. Just like, all right, I'll take a walk. We started walking. It turns out this motherfucker knows everything about Lisbon. He's like, and that is the da-da-da-da, and that is the da-da-da. And now we're in this. And I was like, I'm sorry, do you know everything
So Scott and his wife, I don't know how they do it. But oh God, what's Hardstark, her Instagram? Anyways, when they go on vacation, these fuckers go on vacation, and they like do and I'm always like, how do you do this? And she's like, oh, I planned it for years. And yeah, and
he was a professional grade tour guide.
No, Scott's amazing.
And we walked like 6 or 7 miles. I almost bought a Speedmaster.
Really? He told me about this. You were close.
I almost bought a Speedmaster.
Yeah, you were like,
I didn't, but I almost did.
Yeah. He told me about this. We were talking about watches the other day, and he was like, I don't know why Farrah. He was like, because I was showing him some Omega something.
Yeah.
He's like, Farrah almost bought one of those in Portugal.
Yeah. We went into the boutique.
Oh, because you have a vintage one.
I have a vintage one
that you haven't sold.
I'm not going to sell it, as it turns out.
Not going to sell it.
So, a story about the vintage Speedmaster. So I wore it to Pebble Beach. I got it. It's a 1966, what they call a pre-moon Speedmaster.
Yeah, I know the one. Sure, yeah.
So,
by the way, that's a very different beverage.
That is a very different beverage,
one.
And frankly, I don't love it.
That is like drinking candy corn.
Yeah, do you like it? I might pour it back out and go back to the
Irish
Middleton.
one was delicious.
I'm going to say this.
It's going
if
out.
If we can switch to booze for a second. This is 5 times better than the Uncle Nearest I drank in Tennessee.
5 times worse than the Irish.
This is. I'm gonna stick with it. It's so sweet. It's kind of shocking. But so the Uncle. Hang on.
It really makes me appreciate the Middleton Very Rare.
When I stop talking, we go back to watches.
Okay.
So the Uncle Nearest thing is there's a guy named Uncle Nearest who was a black guy who helped Jack Daniels. He was like the master distiller at the Jack Daniels back in the day.
I remember this story.
Yeah,
yes,
and like his great granddaughter, I want to say, fired up a distillery. You know, and it's a true story. Like he was written out of history, and he was the guy who came up with like Jack Daniels the recipe.
Right.
And he was, and they called him Uncle Nearest, and and this happens all the time. But I was all excited to try it, and I had some. I was in Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere, but we found this like nice gastro pubby. If you can imagine a gastro pub in Tennessee, so like it was. don't Google it. But it wasn't like we weren't in Nashville. We were in like, Jew.
Yeah.
Like what? Really? You know what I mean?
Where's your horns?
Yeah. Anyways, and it was awful. I was so disappointed. But this, I will say, is better.
But compared to this bottle, I mean, I grabbed 2 random bottles from my locker.
I've never had anything that tastes like this Uncle Nearest. It's not horrible, but it's odd.
It's definitely different.
It's candy.
Okay, so let me tell you the Speedmaster story. So I bought this.
This is weird.
Yeah, I bought this vintage Speedmaster from Craft and Tailored. I loved how it looked. I loved the patina. 1966 Speedmaster.
They're fantastic, yeah.
And Speedmaster people are like the nerdiest of watch people.
Because there's 130,000 different variants.
And the references are like the goddamn Dewey Decimal System, and it's awful.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I just liked how this one looked.
Yeah, sure.
And it was a very reasonable price, and great. I bought it. I broke in it twice. The
Because
first
it's from
time
the 60s and it's made of
the
gum.
very first day I had it, I pulled the crown out of it when I was winding it. Awesome.
Really?
Yeah. Craft and Taylor took care of it.
Okay.
They took it to their
Yeah,
watchmaker
yeah.
and they fixed it. They took care of it.
Yeah.
I wore it. I've worn it, sporadically.
I've never seen you wear it, so yeah.
I wear it pretty
Yeah.
sporadically. I wore it to Pebble Beach for a week when I went to Pebble Beach, and I felt really cool wearing this vintage watch. And I got a lot of compliments on it. It's got great patina. I was wearing it a couple weeks ago, and one of the chrono pushers came out and fucking flew across the room. It sprung across the room, and one of my cats went chasing after it. And I was like, Cricket, fucking no, don't eat the fucking pusher.
Right.
I found it, and I found the spring on the floor,
Oh, that's
too.
good. Yeah,
which was
okay.
like amazing.
Yeah.
So I went to my my guy. Shout out to Marina Bay Watch Company. I love them. They're just
Where are they?
on Lincoln and Venice in Marina Del Rey.
Find one near downtown.
I'm sorry,
Go
Lincoln
ahead.
and Washington. Excuse me.
No, it's still too far. It's nowhere near me. Go ahead.
It's
go ahead.
nowhere near you.
Yeah.
But great people.
Okay,
And
yeah.
they do my servicing and all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I took it there. And he takes it apart and is looking at it. Okay, we can fix this, no problem. It also needs a service. Fine, no problem, needs a service. I posted pictures on Instagram because I wanted to shout out these good people at Marina Bay Watch Company. And a Speedmaster nerd comes out of the woodwork. A Speedmaster nerd. And goes, hey man, just so you know, the reason your pusher came off is because it's a service pusher, and the OEM pushers from this period are called fat neck pushers, and they're more robust, and they will stay there. And I go, oh, okay, cool, good to
Yeah,
know. And
yeah.
he goes, he's a watch dealer.
Of course
And
he
goes,
is.
I have a set of new old stock fat neck pushers for 1966. And I go, cool, I will buy those. And we're talking about literally the buttons for a chronograph.
Yeah.
The buttons, that's it.
Yeah.
How much?
Oh God.
$850. What? That's what I said. And he goes, they're expensive. They are like unobtainium. And I go, let me think about it.
Let me research
Let me
this.
think about it.
Yeah.
And he goes, all right. And he
This
goes,
is like the seats from Recaro seats from
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 1970
Yeah.
whatever. It's like $14,000.
$850 for those little
for little buttons,
nothings.
little tiny little bullshit pieces of
I
metal.
just got a $120 Seiko that has 4 of them.
I
by
know.
the way. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a whole watch for fucking $200.
For
So-
$850, you can actually get a pretty good
nice one.
custom Seiko.
A nice
really
watch.
custom
Yeah.
now. Like really go to work.
So he goes, but listen, us Speedmaster nerds are really into this stuff. And he goes, let me tell you about your watch. Your watch is a very rare reference. It was made for a couple of months.
Oh, shit.
In 1966.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It has very specific markings on the case. It has very specific markings on the dial. And it is the watch, this series that was made from like April to June in 1966 is the same as Neil Armstrong's watch.
So did you
It's
PayPal or
it's
Venmo him?
Well, I haven't got there yet. It's this reference
is the actual
watch
moon watch.
is the watch that went to the moon with Neil Armstrong.
Right.
And Neil Armstrong's watch is the same kind. And I go,
So you're
okay,
watching
you're
with $1 zillion.
well,
yeah.
no. Well, I'm getting there. I'm
yeah,
getting there.
yeah.
So my watch also has service hands. It doesn't have the original
Right,
hands.
yeah, I saw
service
that.
hands.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So my watch has is of this reference, but it's got some service shit. He goes, send me the serial number on the movement, and we'll see if it's close to Neil Armstrong's watch.
Could you imagine if this was your life?
I know.
Hey, man.
Some real nerdy shit. So I go, okay, here's this. I got photos. Here's a serial number.
Right.
Well, it turns out that I think that it has a service movement in it from about 2 years later, from 1968.
So it's worth nothing.
So, well, no, that's not necessarily. Not
No,
nothing.
because it's the watch that,
Yeah.
that Jimmy wore to the moon.
Yeah, right. It's the correct movement. It's the correct movement. It's not
Yeah.
the wrong movement.
Right,
But it
right.
seems like it has a certain seems. So this Speedmaster nerd, shout out to Chrono_holic on Instagram.
Hell yeah.
He's the Speedmaster nerd. Shout out to him. And he goes, I'm going to order you an extract from the Omega archives. An extract is like a Carfax for a watch.
Sure.
That says, here's the number of your case, the number of your dial. And
Here's what it should
he goes,
be. Yeah.
He goes, there's 2 options. 1, your watch has a service movement in it. 2, your watch is some freak show from Omega that has some super special movement and it came that way, in which case it's worth a fortune.
And you know what that really means is like, hey Sven, like, where's my movement? Here.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's not worth spending this crazy money unless it's a totally original watch. If it is a totally original watch, I'll spend the fucking $850 on the pushers.
Worst hobby ever. Go
Otherwise, I'll get the stupid service pushers. By the way, I bought this watch with service pushers, and I don't fucking know anything, and I don't care.
How would you?
And it's fine.
How would any normal person?
That's where we're at with this
like
dumb. This is
married.
this is the dumbest hobby in the world.
Yeah.
By the way.
Oh, boy, without question. Yeah.
But what we're talking about here is numbers stamped on a movement inside of a sealed case that nobody can
ever see.
Except the person who wants to buy this thing eventually, maybe.
Okay.
So he goes, what do you want to do? And I go, I want you to fix the watch and put it back together so I can wear it. That's all I care about. It looks great. It looks like it's a fucking the moon watch, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
Fine. So that's where we're at with this dumb watch.
But did you get the Carfax?
No, 2 to 4 weeks. 2 to 4 weeks for Omega.
Wow.
This was yesterday, and it's 2 to 4 weeks to get the thing. I will report back when I have the.
I'm just not. I got like a nice strap. I'm not even in the same realm.
This is my only vintage watch.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
I don't like vintage watches because I break them. I beat the shit out of my watches.
That's why I wear this, because you can stop a bullet.
Yeah. I mean, even look, this is a very nice Rolex. I love it very much. It was a wedding gift from my father. It's scratched to shit.
Yeah, of course.
Because of course it is, because I'm a klutz.
Well, that's why you need this, because it's made of tegimented submarine steel, so you cannot scratch.
And we're both
scratch-proof.
Seiko people. I love my Seikos. Like
I'm getting another. I just bought a Seiko, $120, but I'm getting another custom Seiko made. Like
from who? Oh, from
Cody.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
LA
he's
Car
great.
Spotter. I should learn. He actually has a watch Instagram account, and I should learn the name of it, but I refuse to because he's LA Car Spotter.
Yeah, but Car Spotter. He's a good dude.
But
he's a solid guy.
I like the guy a lot, and he's good. He's good.
I love
he's
a custom
slow,
Seiko.
but
I
he's
love
good.
it's not snobbery, but like the reason I don't have vintage watches is because they're too fragile.
They're a pain
for me.
in the ass.
But this one in particular, so anyway, to circle back, I said to Scott when we were in Portugal.
That's where we began.
That's where we started. I said to Scott in Portugal, I just broke this Speedmaster. I shouldn't fucking have it. It's too fragile. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to buy this one. And then I thought about how much time I spent doing it. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Morocco, and then we're going to come back through Lisbon.
Yeah.
And if I still want it then.
It's there.
It's there, and I'm going to buy it then.
They actually had a Omega. Yeah,
it was Omega.
Yeah,
it's not Rolex.
It's not Rolex.
We went into Rolex, and I was like, what do you got? And they go, I'm going to laugh at you now.
I was at Harrods in London recently, and non-women's watches.
Yeah.
They had a Yachtmaster 2, and not the Sky King, the Airmaster.
Air King?
Well, not the Air King, the
Sky Dweller.
Sky Dweller. Sorry. That's it. Those are the two watches, which are obscure ass Rolexes.
Yeah, they don't have stock, and they'll laugh at you if you ask for anything. But
no, we asked for all kinds of stuff.
We went back to Portugal. I said, you know what? I said I'm going to fix the one I have, and I'm going to wear that one, and I'm not going to.
But
blow money
new
on this thing.
Speedmasters are still relatively affordable. It's like $5,000, $4,000, $5,000.
With exchange rate, which was favorable, it would have cost me $6,100 out the door.
I mean, that's for a marquee.
I thought about how much time I spent and was putting into this Dakar film, and I went, I'm on a negative equity run right now.
You're already on negative equity.
Blowing money on a watch while I'm here is the dumbest thing I could fucking do.
When I was at Harrods, so my next big stupid purchase is going to be a Panerai. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to buy a Panerai.
I want to see your safe when I go to your house. I need to verify this.
Scott told me
there's no tweeting about
Scott told me he didn't buy it.
There's no Speedmaster,
and he was like, Scott was surprised you didn't buy it.
I was when I sat down on the stool. And took my Seiko off and put it on that velvet tray.
Oh yeah.
Scott looked at me like, this is going to be an expensive day.
Yeah. Well, Scott's he's not a cheapskate, but he's an Eagle Scout and he's frugal. So he like prevents you from doing bad things.
Yeah.
If I had been there,
He prevented me from doing bad things, but I learned a ton about Lisbon.
yeah. No, but so I'm going to buy a Panerai. But I was at Harrods. And
Now's the time to buy a Panerai.
Stop it! But we went to the Panerai shop, and like they have 10,000 of these things.
Yeah.
But there was one that was just like, it's just it was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was like the week for the first time in forever that the pound was worth less than the dollar.
Oh yeah.
So it was
now
like
we're talking.
It was like 11,000 pounds, $10,998, and I was like, fuck.
It's a lot of money for a Panerai.
Well, that's what they cost.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so Schaefer was there, and he's like, buy it, and I was just like, and I didn't do it, thank God, because like I want a Panerai, but I don't need a Panerai, And then it turned out I got my tax. So you know that Pikes Peak race? Let me tell you a story about if you want to do Pikes Peak, everyone listening. So, I raised $60,000 and I spent about 70.
You raised $60,000.
Yeah,
Wow,
60,000
good for you.
Well, hang on. I spent about 70. I can't remember if it was 72 or 75, but that was my spend. And then my accountant goes, "Oh, hey, you made a lot of money this year. Like that extra is 60." And I go, "Oh no! I spent all that." He goes, "We got to pay taxes on it." And I just never thought about it. I just never fucking thought about.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You need to create Jonny Lieberman racing funds.
So I needed about a third of 60,000, which I just hadn't planned for.
No, wait. And I'm certainly not an accountant, and I'm bad at all that.
Yeah.
But is it because you're an individual and not a company?
I was a company. This is a company.
That doesn't count as a company expense?
You're not going to write off $60,000 for racing.
It is if you're creating content out of it.
I went over all these arguments.
Okay.
And he was like, "No, you got to pay 20, whatever, 30%."
Oh, that's shitty.
Oh, it broke my heart. It just broke my heart.
That's
And
shitty.
Anytime, for kids listening, anytime you have to dip into savings to pay taxes,
Is misery.
it's just the worst feeling in the
Misery,
world.
yeah.
It's just
Especially for something that you don't own, that was an experience.
experience.
That's
Yeah.
ethereal.
Yeah, and then my wife was sitting there, and she's like, "You asshole!"
Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, because I had to tell her the other day like what the monthly payment for the Rivian was for various reasons, and she was like, "What?"
For various
Oh,
reasons.
really?
And I'm like, "We bought a $96,000 truck, with taxes." She's
Yeah.
like, "We did?" I was like,
But last year it was worth 110 for a minute.
"Well, it was 135."
Ooh.
130. I should have sold.
I
it.
was just at the Concourse Club in Miami, which was a lovely place.
Yeah.
Lovely. Have you been down there?
Yeah, I have.
Lovely place, lovely
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Fantastic facility.
Yep.
I drove a really cool car.
Can you talk about the car?
I drove the 1953 Cunningham C5R, third place at Le Mans. Revs Institute
did you?
car. Yeah.
I have many questions, but okay.
It was awesome.
Cunningham.
But
Zach.
about the truck,
Yeah.
about the track.
Yeah.
Membership 375,000. And then 30,000 a year after
Right.
that.
Right.
And I was like, "Holy mother of God." And he goes, "You know what it costs to race Daytona as a gentleman for one weekend?" And I
About
was
that?
like, "Good point." He's like, "This is a thing that is
Somebody told me years ago what it costs to actually do a season of Ferrari Challenge.
Oh, it's fucking crazy.
I want to say like 20 million. And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Well, your car is 747 to 6 continents." And I was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. No, it's at a certain point, it's like, you and I are mortals.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm
Yeah.
very fortunate and like,
hey, for what I do, yeah.
but like, there's a level
Oh.
that we don't even know about.
I'm aware of that level, but I'm like,
But we can't even do the math.
Imagine
No,
spending 20 million and then not getting first place. Not because when you buy it, you should win. But if someone does a full season and they get 18th, and I'm not saying racing's easy, but Zach would be crestfallen because of the literal investment into that.
Check my math, but I believe that was the number. Because it's like you do a bunch of races. You go to all these crazy tracks. But
20 sounds high, but I bet it's a fucking fortune.
well, like, you buy. So first of all, if you you have the honor of buying I don't know what they cost now, $500,000 for a challenge car.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can only service it at Ferrari approved Ferrari dealers. You have to hire a coach. You have to hire like a 5-person pit crew. You got to schlep the thing around, hotels, meals, blah blah blah. I mean, it's like
if you're writing the check for the whole team,
your
definitely.
numbers were off, according to a website that whatever.
Okay.
Cost is $600,000 to $1 million a year, not including the car, and that is like test days, crash damage, other costs.
I feel like a dude
Now, that
told
might
me
be-
it was 20, but okay.
This isn't specific enough because this could also just be like for the techs and the team. Like you said, that's not counting flights.
It's not
hotels,
counting
anything
your
like that.
hotel and your. I mean, but
Yeah.
still, if you're not spending $19 million on that, unless you're flying a private jet, then you are.
Well, yeah.
But,
I don't, okay, man.
But anyway,
it's only a couple million a year.
For 90% of the people who drive race cars, 95% of the people who drive race cars, racing is fuck all expensive.
Oh, it's insane.
It's insanely expensive.
When I did Pikes, like I knew it'd be, and I remember Zwart. He said
Pikes is tough because
So it's
that's a
135
very
total?
limited amount of seat time.
Not only that, but I remember Zwart's like, you got to raise $60,000, and I'm like, for what? And he should have said 75,000 because that would have almost that would have covered it, not counting that you got to pay taxes.
Yeah.
So wait, was your total cost 75 or was it
75.
135? Okay, I thought you were adding
75.
61.
No. It was I can't remember honestly. I can't remember if it was 72 or 75,000. But I had to kick in out of my money. Which, hey, glad I had it. Very privileged to be able to do all this shit. But I was like, what?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm trying to think. Like, you have to rent.
And you don't own the car.
You don't own the. Oh, and by the way, Porsche Motorsports hooked me up. It's like a $50,000 rental I didn't have to pay for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To rent the car for all those weeks that it was out in Colorado. And they shipped it back and forth for me.
Yeah.
That's
That's another enormous. It's probably double.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Man,
but
it's probably
like
double.
we had to rent. I can't remember. I think it was nitrogen.
Red nitrogen.
No, for there was a tank you had to have to run the jacks. It was on air,
Yeah,
but it wasn't oxygen. It was like I think it was nitrogen.
Yeah, probably.
And that was like $1,000 for the tank. I had to rent oxygen, which wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
Everything was insane. You know?
It's crazy.
It was like it was all kinds of nuts.
Yeah.
And that. When my and I just didn't even think of it. And my accountant's
reality
just
set in real quick.
like, and you're married, you get this. Like the guy's like, oh, you made a lot of money this year, and I'm like, I did. He's like, well, what's this? You've had like $60,000 worth of deposits into your business account, which you didn't have last year. I was like, well, he's like, well, you got to pay taxes, idiot. And
again, not a tax accountant, but like.
It's
to
income.
me, if it was the smoking tire, if the smoking tire, the company decided to race Pikes Peak, and create content about that, everything associated with that is a business expense.
And it was, but it's still when you get sponsorship, right? The checks come in addressed to your corporation.
Yeah, and the expenses
and that goes
go
into
out from the corporation.
Yeah, but that goes into your account, and you pay business tax on money you deposit.
Yeah, but you deduct the expenses from your income.
Listen, I'm no accountant. All I'm going to say is, like...
I don't pay taxes on my gross income. I pay taxes on my fucking net income in a business.
Yeah, listen, all I'm going to tell you is this. If I would have bought that Panerai, I would have had to, like, sell crypto or something.
Oh, no.
Like, it would have been bad. It would have been... It was like thank God I didn't flippantly with Schaefer whispering in my ear like a little satanic bastard. Like, buy it. You need it. That's you. That's your watch. Like, I'm really glad I had that.
No, like, I own the smoking tire, right? And I own West Side Collector
But
Car
you pay
Stores.
taxes.
I pay taxes on the profit of the business. I don't pay taxes on the gross income.
Look,
we have business expenses, and that doesn't come out of my. I don't pay taxes on that.
But again, like he deducted what he could deduct, and there was an extra $60,000.
That's
Someone's. What I'm thinking is, someone's accountant is doing this wrong on one side of this table.
I'm going to say
and
this.
I don't know who it is.
I've had my
It's
accountant.
Johnny?
I've had my accountant for 22 years, and I haven't been audited.
I love
the guy.
Something sounds off about that.
Shout
to
out
me.
to Adam.
Right? It does. that's business income and business expenses. It does not sound like you should. It sounds like you should be able to fucking deduct that entire experience. To me.
Listen, I could maybe talk to him, but it was, anyways.
Let me tell you something. The commenters are going to have a lot of advice for you.
Your commenters are my favorite people on earth, so I can't wait to hear their sage advice.
They're fucking brutal. Let's move on. But I'm sorry that you're going through that.
No. I went through it. It's fine. I sent the check. It's all fine. Everything's fine. Again, I'm
That's
happy.
the reality of doing Pikes Peak.
I'm happy I was able to do it, but I'm just saying, don't do Pikes Peak and buy a flippant Panerai the same year.
Someone said, Habibi, Section 179, depreciation on the Rivian.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that. Trust me. We depreciated the Rivian like crazy. Don't worry.
Because it's over 6,000 pound gross vehicle.
Oh, hell yeah.
First year depreciation, baby.
Well, so he asked me, he said, do you want to do 5 years at once or do you want to do 5 years over 5 years? And I said, what's better? He goes, the IRS would look at 5 years over 5 years much more favorably than 5 years at once. He's like, let me tell you what sets them off. And he gave me a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
He's like, so do 5 years over 5 years. You can do it. You can choose to do it, but it'll get you.
It may get you
on the
a
spin
couple
around.
questions.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We've got questions from the Patreon, a lot of them. And we're going to cut this off in 30 minutes. So we'll do 30 minutes of questions.
I'm totally cool, man.
Yeah. We'll do 30 minutes of questions, and then we will cut her off. Patreon, of course, the Smoking Tire Podcast on Patreon. You got your different fucking tiers. You live questions on the first tier. You got no ads on the second tier. You got no ads and same-day podcast releases on the third tier. And then you've got the Pro Driver Show, where you get an extra show every month. Although Zach and I did fuck up in the month of January. My travel schedule meant that we didn't do a Pro Driver Show in the month of January. We will solve that problem.
Zach is going to come sit on everyone's face
It's my
individually.
fault. No, it's actually my fault. It's totally my fault. We're going to make it up to you by doing 2 Pro Driver shows in the month of February. We want you to get your money's worth. I do not want to scam anybody.
There's
out
a higher
of there.
tier for face sitting. It's much more expensive.
Well,
Yes.
the other thing is,
If you want me to sit in your face, that is the face sitting tier. It's $47 a month.
yeah, I would just say for everyone listening, like, it is the two of you, which I find shocking because, like, I just came from doing the MotorTrend podcast.
Yeah, there's
and,
lots of people.
Well, it's just the amount, like, we're now part of Warner Brothers Discovery, so the amount of QC that it goes through is like is insane.
Earlier today, right before I came here for this show, I went over to Race Service to do Corey LaJoy's NASCAR podcast, and there's Corey, nice dude, fun time, good show.
What do you know about NASCAR?
Not much.
Okay, fair.
But go check it out.
Yeah.
But there was about 75 people involved in producing that episode.
It's funny. I mean, it's the bigger the company.
Yeah.
I mean, 100 years ago in a different life, I was working for a software company that was doing legal software for GM's legal department.
Yeah.
And I had to train the lead counsel for GM on the software. And, basically, if you've ever trained anyone on software, not many people have, but, you sit there and you go, you do this. If you want to do this, you do that. There was 4 people in the room that everything I said, they had to spin it for this guy. And I remember he turned to me at one point. He's like, isn't this ridiculous? And I'm like, yeah, I think we could be more productive. He's like, that's just how it is, man. Biggest corporation.
Yeah.
So anyways, go ahead. So questions.
Anyway, the Patreon, of course,
And
is
Zach
how you
is on
support
your
the show
face.
directly and sit on my face for extra money.
I think they want Zach, man. No offense.
Yeah, exactly.
No, people want different things. We have 2 tiers. They're both $47.
Listen, Zach's,
Doesn't matter.
if you want to talk about face sitting, Zach's in better shape, but also spends a lot more time hiking. Make of that what you will.
All right. Fair enough.
Lucas says, do you think pre-merger Alpinas will become as valuable as pre-merger AMGs these days? Early 80s Alpina BMWs did take a big jump in the last couple of years, and they are quite valuable.
We auctioned off. I worked for RM for one auction down in Miami, and we auctioned off a bunch of literally the coolest looking Alpinas. They had digital 80s graphics from the factory. I have no idea how they drive, but just based on the graphics package.
Yeah.
And let's be honest.
They're an attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, you're not buying them to drive anyways. Like, yeah, I think definitely pre-merger. I will say, though, once the merger happened, it took a few years, but they got really good.
Yeah.
I'd say those early ones were problematic, and they were,
The newest Alpinas are dope as fuck.
dope as fuck.
And also, shout out to Andreas Bovensiepen, who will be joining us on the podcast February 10th, Friday. He's going to meet us, Zach and I, at the base of Angeles Crest. He's going to come to Good Vibes.
No shit.
Yeah. He hit me up. He's coming to LA. He's coming to Good Vibes. We're gonna enjoy a cars and coffee together, and then he's gonna come back to the studio and do a show with us. If you want to join, you're welcome to join.
I might. What is the 10th?
Friday the 10th.
I'm doing 2 podcasts. Oh, I'm doing Franz from Tesla.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Can't
to.
wait.
I'm gonna call you.
Goebbels will be great on your podcast. So, Andre,
But here's something to talk about with him. So the what do they call it? The BX7.
What's that?
So the BMW X7. The
Oh,
Alpina version.
yeah.
I think it's called the BX,
XB7.
Sorry,
yeah.
XB7.
Yeah.
23-inch Pirellis.
Yeah.
Alpina spec.
Yeah.
They that is crazy.
Yeah.
It literally says ALP on the tire.
That's the only Alpina built in America.
yeah.
The rest are built in Germany.
But I think it's crazy that what is the volume of Alpina? It's got to be nothing.
It's I believe it's 2,500 cars a year total.
To develop your own tire spec, like the money.
Dude, I went over there. Have you ever been to their factory? It's crazy.
In Germany,
Outside
no.
of Munich?
No.
It's crazy.
Is
Their
it?
emissions lab is insane.
No, never.
They're casting their own intercoolers. They're casting their own turbos.
Yeah.
They're casting manifolds. Like, it's a cool as fuck place.
So to get back to this guy's question, I think now, I think these are such good cars, like the B7.
Yeah, awesome.
Like, there's the, I don't know what it's called now. Not the B7. Not the B7.
B8 Grand Coupe?
B8 Grand Coupe.
Yeah.
Thank you. The M, what the hell was it called? M Coupe? M850?
Grand Coupe?
M8
Yeah.
Grand Coupe. Like, it's higher performance, but I like the Alpina way better.
The Alpina is meant for
better.
putting miles on.
Yeah,
Lots
but
of miles.
just better interior, better everything. So, maybe, I don't know. Do
The
Alpinas
thing
have
about
value?
vintage Alpinas to me is they fill niches that BMW themselves didn't fill. There are 3 and 5 and 7 series sedans that where there
Right.
wasn't an M.
Right,
There are
right,
wagons.
right.
There's stuff that BMW didn't do. So it's not like it's an alternative 1-to-1 to M.
Didn't
It's
they V8 swap
different.
some stuff?
Yeah,
early
E36s.
too?
early,
Yeah.
yeah.
E36
But pull up
V8s,
like
yeah.
a 87 Alpina 3 Series or 5 Series with the graphics.
awesome.
The graphics are nuts.
They were doing turbos in the 5 Series.
Yeah,
It was
E28 turbos,
super
and
cool.
all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yes, look at those.
But you got to get the ones with the digital. Like if you do RM Auction Miami,
Those are fucking
the Alpinas
great.
from there. It was from a special collection. There's one. Oh,
Yeah, good photography from RM. Very nice.
yeah. Anyway,
These these cars are really, really cool. Oh, look
Yeah,
at
that kind of stuff. Thank you.
fantastic. The
Thank you.
Alpina
Perfect.
B2.
yeah, but like
1976.
that kind of paint to me, because only Toyota had paint that cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think they trail the pre-merger AMGs for sure.
Oh, well,
and the importance is the merger. That's
Yeah.
the merger is what did it, right?
Right.
And I think it may never be as valuable as the AMGs, but
No.
they're definitely investment grade cars.
Did you see that AMG that we auctioned off in Miami? The 560.
Wide body Hammer,
Yeah.
sick.
It
it
was
the blue
like
one?
700. No, it was like gray. It was like $700,000.
Is it the one? It's like the one we have here.
Maybe I don't know the one
We
you
have a
here.
560 6-liter wide body Hammer here.
Yeah, this one. Was it this one?
720,000.
Yeah, this is one.
Oh, it's identical.
Okay.
Yeah, we have an identical one
So
downstairs.
that's
yeah, we
worth
do.
$720,000.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
That's amazing.
And,
we have literally an
I drove
identical
it.
one downstairs.
I got to drive it like 8 feet.
Wasn't it disappointing?
No, I drove it 8 feet. It was fantastic.
That if you could,
I mean,
sub $1 million bucks, stealth wealth, roll around LA,
Yeah.
you cannot beat.
one of the best looking
Cannot
cars.
beat
I
it.
mean, look at
It
that
is
thing. Also,
in person.
by the way,
100% attitude.
By the way, do you know Joe Molina?
Yeah.
You know, Joe Molina like was instrumental in getting AMG on
Yeah.
the cover of like Road and Track.
Yeah,
and all
that dude's got stories.
Dude.
I know he's got stories.
Yeah, you got to get that would be the podcast is to get Joe Molina because by the way he also was like involved in the Countach.
I know.
He was involved in like G-Wagon, gray market G-Wagons
Yeah.
in the 80s. Like,
He's got stories, I know.
All right.
TM says, what does Johnny think of Civic Type R and GR Corolla not breaking 50,000 on cars and bids and bring a trailer? I think those cars are bringing the money that they're worth.
I mean, I would say my next car is a GR Corolla.
Circuit.
I'm going to get
Circuit?
the one with the carbon roof. So yeah, the circuit.
That's a circuit.
I'm going to get the circuit.
that's the move.
I'm going to
dude.
get the circuit.
They're
Yeah.
fucking dope.
That's my next car.
They're
In
delightful.
11 months from now, I will own one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Cosgrove, I'm pretty sure we already answered this question of yours. Will Johnny take another crack at
Yeah.
Pikes Peak?
Yes.
Maybe, but he'll do better math.
Yes, not you know. Sadly, I had to back out this
Yeah.
year. I was. They actually. It felt so bad. The last second, it all came together, and they got me a spot in a car.
Yeah.
And I just, for a bunch of reasons that are not financial, I couldn't do it. But I will go back. Yes, for sure. For sure.
Sarang Singh, best engine in an objectively bad car. I mean, it's rare that combination comes up.
I would say like okay, C7 Z06 is like kind of the greatest engine and like not objectively bad.
The car hamstrings the engine for sure.
Objectively mediocre.
Yeah.
And because that engine in like you know the ZR or the Camaro version
it was great.
is absolutely
Right.
killer.
Yeah, the
And
ZL1 1LE is way better than the C6 Z06.
Even just ZL1.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hang on, not Z. Yeah, ZL1.
ZL1,
Yeah. Even
yeah,
just
yeah.
ZL1 by itself, because like the C7, I had one Z06 and it was like the $90,000 Michigan press car. So like, you know, if you live in Michigan, you get very offended by expensive things. Just like even though like you know you make plenty of money and your house costs $5, if a Porsche's over 60,000, you're very as you know.
Yeah.
And so they had literally this car had no options. It was like a manual C7 Z06. It was 90 grand was the lowest. That car was pretty cool, but then like you started getting to the Z07 package and like it just didn't work right. They weren't what they should have been. So I would say that would be, and that's like a phenomenal engine. I love that engine.
Yeah.
You know, or even
about-
what was the one above it? The ZR1 that made like
the
715.
ZR1 was epic.
Oh, the engine was epic.
The engine was epic.
The
Yeah.
car-
It wanted to spin the rims inside the tires. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
The car.
We talked about it last week with Doug.
Yeah.
It had everything in line for being extremely collectible, but not being a great driver's car, but being extremely collectible.
Yeah, it also
Yeah.
it still had like, and you remember they got up in price a little bit. They got to like, well, how much? That was like 130.
130. They were expensive.
And the
Yeah, they're
interior was like, I mean, the leather, which,
it was not
which
great.
looked like this, and then sounded. Is this actually carbon?
It is actually carbon. Yeah.
So this is what the leather sounded like in sort of a C701. It was really bad.
My vote will be for
It's a good question.
Dodge Challenger, Hellcat,
Red Eye.
yeah.
The Challenger's bad. First gen Ferrari
Charger's
California, I think, was like. I
Well-
really didn't like a lot about that car.
It was a bad car.
was
Right.
not a good car.
Bad
You're
car.
right. That's an actually.
Did it have a good engine?
I mean, it's small Ferrari V8. It was quick, made decent power,
Yeah,
sounded
it's not
good.
it's not a terrible play. It's not a terrible play.
I remember.
How about the Aston Martin Rapide, first gen?
I actually liked that car a lot.
I liked the S a lot. I didn't like the regular one.
It
that
was
much,
just so
but-
beautiful.
Yeah.
But the first California, I remember I drove it up for a Ferrari Challenge race to Sonoma. And Schaefer was like, he had a Pathfinder, and he's like Mr. Ferrari. He's just such a homer. He's like, can I drive it home? I'm like, I'll totally trade you for the Pathfinder.
Take it. Don't give a fuck.
And then boom, Joe Molina was so like flaming red mad at me about that. And he's like, what didn't you like about it? I'm like, well, aside from the
Everything.
Aside from
And-
the catalytic converter temperature not plausible, please drive slowly to dealer error message that kept showing up. Like the door handles were like uneven, like one was up, one was down. And he was like, everything I said, he was shooting down. And I'm like, also, that top he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I don't, because I said something like, I don't think it could open 20 times in a row without breaking. He's like, no, it's 10.
How about first-gen Maserati Quattroporte?
Well, what do you mean? You don't mean first gen. You mean no,
not first gen. The 2006 one.
Fourth gen.
Yeah. Great engine, shit pile car.
Bad.
Shit pile.
I would say this: great engine, phenomenal interior, phenomenal looking.
Shit pile car.
Worst transmission.
Yeah, undrivably bad.
You couldn't think of a worse transmission.
Undrivably bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, Nick the Ginger, favorite all-wheel drive cars for under $25,000.
Are there any? Cars are expensive now.
Previa. 25 grand will get you the sickest all-wheel drive Previa supercharged.
Slightly used WRX.
Yeah,
I mean, look, you can find an all-wheel drive, Carrera 4 for 25 that's not in good shape.
It'll be a cab automatic.
Yeah, but you could find that.
How about an Evo 8 for 25, or have they gone up too much?
How about Beat one?
Evo 9? I mean, look, even an Evo 10 is a pretty killer performance
they're very different,
car.
though.
They're very different.
No, performance-wise,
you could probably get
an
an E46 330 Xi.
Is that good?
25 grand will get you a great one.
Actually, you could probably get the best one in the world.
Probably get you a great one.
Yeah, get a wagon.
Yeah. Chris Navio says, we may have covered this already in our Rivian chat. After living with the Rivian, what are some things you would change about the R1S?
So that's the SUV. I mean, just yesterday I had, this is R1T, but I had the Rivian guys out because I've had my tonneau cover replaced. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 times, but they permanently disabled it. They literally snipped the
it's open,
permanently open. It was just it was one of those where they fixed it, and I was like, I'm just gonna leave it open. And then my kid, he bought a pumpkin that's about the size of like a small dinner plate, and he decided to close it because he didn't want his pumpkin to get hurt, and it broke for the first time coming out. So I said,
Yikes.
just come permanently disable it. The windows have been getting weird. The windows, they go halfway up and then come down. I think it's a temperature thing. I think the metal's compressed or something. So they reset the windows. Didn't solve a fucking thing. So you have to push on the window to get it to go up when it's cold.
Good. That's not a $96,000 car.
It's not even a $9,600 car.
Yeah. Well, we
had an issue with the Mach-E with the power windows, where when you would use the automatic driver window close, it would go all the way up and then bounce all the way down, and you'd have to close it, holding it, and it would close.
This is doing that halfway, but I've had $400,000 Aston Martins do that as well. So it's hard to build cars, but
true.
Yeah. It's a pretty goddamn good car. I hate to say it. I mean,
okay. Micah Moore, since you've been doing the Inevitable podcast, that's your podcast with Ed Lowe about EVs. What are your?
Wait, we're skipping over the Bungle.
We're going to the important ones first.
Well, "Love Is a Fist" is my favorite Mr. Bungle song.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. Favorite Mr. Bungle song. Micah Moore, what are some things you've learned that an average person doesn't take into account as far as practicality?
About EVs? Or
That's
about
a weird
podcasting?
Question. No, it's a weird question. Probably, I don't think you've learned anything about podcasting.
I mean, look, it's one of those things you never have to go to a gas station, and if you do 30 seconds of thinking about tomorrow, which is probably a good habit to be in, you wake up and your car is charged and ready to go.
Yeah, the only thing about EVs is that they're not great for road tripping, and that's not the fault of the car as much as the fault of the priorities of the incentives of our government to build out the network as opposed to maintain the chargers that
I heard about this cool thing today. What are they calling it? It's
gasoline?
No. No. Fuck. Oh, God. Anyways, a kangaroo something. But anyways, the road train in the Australian Outback? All right, imagine this. You have a semi-truck. You're going on a road trip in your EV. You live in Chicago and you go into the Ozarks for the summer. It's 700 miles, right? So the way a yacht is transported on a yacht transporter, you pack your EV onto a truck that charges it, and it drives it 700 miles and then just drops it off, and you show up And
Are you in it?
No.
Oh, you fly.
Oh yeah.
So
or
what
the
you
car
train.
shipping.
what you've just described is shipping your car.
Well, except that it's for EVs. It's a special EV transport. Ford apparently has a patent that
What?
just leaked.
Why does the car need to be charging on the transporter? Why can't you just deliver it to the transporter with a full charge?
You could do that too. I don't know. It's called
What
kangaroo.
a fucking waste of energy and resources.
Ford has a patent out about it.
Well, this one uses
That
the
is the
blockchain,
dumbest
so-
shit I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah, that's
you've
thin.
just described
Listen, I
car
haven't thought
shipping.
about it very. Yeah, but it's like a known route, and instead of $2,000 to ship a car, it's like $50
Why would it be $50?
because it's like Ford's subsidizing it.
That doesn't make any sense.
or the state,
at all.
or the state subsidizes it rather than.
Oh, so what you've just
rather
described
than
is
it's-
taking advantage of a government incentive, not
Listen,
some new
I'm
technology.
making this up as I go along. All right,
That's the
all right.
stupidest shit I ever heard. in
Johnny
my life.
invested money in it. I think.
That's dumb as rocks.
Johnny, get your money out.
And let's see. Hang on, Aiden's. There are a lot of questions, but I want to
Yes.
get. I want to get to the most interesting ones first. Okay, Aiden Squires says, with cars like the Hummer EV and Silverado EV sharing the same platform, will it be easier and more profitable for automakers to share EV platforms with multiple cars? Interesting question, except for the fact that the Hummer H2 and the Tahoe were the same platform. There's nothing about this being EV that is unique or new.
Right. Well, I
GM
was gonna
sharing shit within their company is very standard.
So, yeah. So to answer Aiden's question, Volkswagen is the king of this with their toolkit. So like MQB, MQS. So basically, turns out, who knew? 60% of the cost of a vehicle is from the front axle to the firewall. Mm-hmm. If you can standardize that, and that's how like exhaust pipes are routed, that's how steering wheels collapse, that's how airbags and crash structure. If you standardize that, you've taken 60% out of the cost of developing a new model.
Wow.
Right? So yeah, it'll be very inexpensive and very cheap to do that. No one is as good as Volkswagen at doing that. Like I always tell people, the Urus,
every Volkswagen is the same from the bumper to the axle.
the Urus and the A4, the Audi A4 are on the MQL. No wait, what is it? It's the MQL. No wait, MQB, MQS. Holy cow.
I don't know.
It's the longitudinal MLB. A4 and Urus are the MLB Evo 2 platform. They literally are the same platform. That's how good they are at disguising this. You know, when everyone's like, the Urus is just a Q8. Well, it's a Q8.
It's not just a Q8.
It's a Q8. It's an A4. It's an A8.
Yeah.
No, it's not an A8. It's an A7. It's a Touareg. It's these Chinese Volkswagens you've never heard of. So, and 60% of the cost is done before they start working on it, just by developing the toolkit.
Yeah.
So it's only 40% to iterate new models.
Yeah.
So Volkswagen is literally the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Philip Franco, we've talked about that in the last multiple podcasts with Johnny. We can talk about
Yeah. Well, there's a new head-to-head like show coming.
Is there?
In March? Yes.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's head-to-head like different.
head-to-head S.
Yeah, coming in March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Derek Yeagan said, you talk about LA has the best driving roads, but which is the worst LA road?
It's the 405.
That you hate the most. He said the freeway doesn't count.
Oh.
So what's the
He said the
worst
10
LA
freeway.
Canyon road?
Driving road? Deer Creek. Because it looks so good.
But
Yeah.
it's bumpy as shit.
It's bumpy, narrow. The
Yeah.
homeowners are gazillionaires who
That's
can have
very
you killed.
fair. Yeah, it's very fair.
But that coming down when you see the ocean and it's that brand
It's
new
good for
black.
stills, but like for
Yeah.
video, I've always hated filming on it. Yeah.
yeah.
I one time we were doing this 100 years ago. We had 91 NSX versus LFA, and you know that one real elevation tight corner.
Yeah.
And the front of the LFA came off going downhill.
Is it scraped or?
Oh no, it was off the vehicle, and I had to call Lexus. and they were so unhappy because
Yikes.
it turns out that thing really is expensive. It's like we once before I started at MotorTrend, they cracked the windshield of a SLR Mercedes McLaren.
yeah.
And that's at the time, this is like 2007. That's a $14,000 windshield. Most windshields are like $600.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, when a G-Wagon comes to the States, a press car, 10 windshields follow it because they know. It's straight up and down. They get it. With that car, no, they don't come. And, you know, yeah. So, but this was a very, and everyone who was involved, they're very nice people. But man, that was a bad phone call.
I would say for Derek's question, honestly, Mulholland Highway. Like, it's a nice road, but there's cops all over it. And if only the fucking amateurist of amateurs speed on Mulholland Highway.
Well, in the east part of it, that is like where it began,
Yeah.
is wall-to-wall driveways. It's very populated, either with
or
nice houses or neighborhoods or
Topanga
whatever.
Canyon.
Topanga, like if you catch it like on a Tuesday morning when no one's
It
on
has
it,
a nice shape.
It's gorgeous.
It has a nice shape, but it's not the right place
It's
to
a
go
commuter
fast.
road. I will say Mulholland, like where the snake is, like obviously sucks because it's just overrun.
Have you heard about reopening of the snake?
Nah, and it's one way apparently. Did you hear this?
No.
The snake is now one way.
Really? Up or down?
I want to say down. But it's like, which is insane.
That's not fun.
That said, I mean, I've seen more crashes on the snake just in that one corner than any other road in the world.
Oh, the show-off corner.
The show-off corner,
of course.
But like the other part of Mulholland by the beach, well,
That's good, yes.
Yeah, that's all right. I think it's still closed, but that's a nice road.
Okay, Christian Pelfrey, lots of words,
my
but
God.
here we go. Is it time for major automotive outlets to start pushing significantly harder on Tesla, Elon Musk, the federal government, etc., even just to protect and educate consumers where the government is failing with the continuous revelations of subpar engineering, the failed promise of automated cars to falsely drive up stock prices, and the most egregious issues of technology killing and harming multiple people at once? Should the motor trends and car and drivers of the free press amplify what we at TST have been bringing awareness to? Do these outlets have a responsibility to their readership to protect them from car companies that aren't meeting minimum safety and quality standards?
Well, I mean, like
I think they do.
I mean,
but-
look, today we put up a story about how the steering wheel fell off of the guy's Model Y, and when it fell off of the dude's Model 3 2 years ago, we put up a story. Like we cover all that. We also cover the fact that Tesla sold 400,000 fucking cars, and their owners love them. So, it's
And their
like,
crash safety rating is very high. So I just, to address Christian's point of they're not meeting minimum safety standards.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with that though, because you know what I mean. If you, first of all, you've done this, and I know you don't do it actively, but like once in a while on Twitter, I engage with the Tesla Borg. Wow, these people are brainwashed.
Oh yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
But they're like, it's the safest car in the whole ever in the history of mankind, and I'm like, an S-Class is like way safer, just so you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. Like, and they have all this like nonsense studies that are just totally out of date and also like don't mean anything. And I'm like, how is Tesla able to make a safer car than Mercedes? Just please, in any way, explain that.
Well, by not having an engine and having a frunk, you have a nice crumple zone. So in certain tests, it performs very well.
Yeah, well, the other thing, but by the way, like in all modern cars since forever ago, like the engines are shoved under the car. It's not even an issue.
Well, but there's nothing to shove under the car in the
There's a
Model
motor.
S, right?
There's a fucking motor the size of a bass drum. Like, there's a big electric motor in most Teslas. Like, don't tell me there's nothing there. It's big. There's a lot of like material. Yeah,
I think a Model S and an S-Class are both extremely safe in a crash.
Well, here's the thing.
You're splitting hairs if you're going one versus the other.
Model S is 2011, 10 technology.
Yeah.
S-Class is brand new-ish.
Sure.
I would much rather be in an S-Class.
I'm less concerned with crash test ratings.
Fair.
And I will I don't even want to use the word concede, but I will will say definitively the Tesla Model S and the Model 3 and the Model Y are safe in a crash. They're good in a crash.
Sure.
I'm much more concerned with the false peddling of automation software and that kind of stuff, which leads people to get incredibly complacent when using these systems, which can result in a massive problem.
And
I'm riding my motorcycle.
Yeah, Mr. Pelfrey, I mean, I feel like we cover that a lot. We don't like maybe sound alarm bells, but like that tunnel crash, we did a lot of stories about that. The TSA investigations about where the fucking Tesla sees an ambulance and then quits driving, and then it's suddenly the driver's fault. And look, I say this. I've spent way too much time reading about like the engineering definition of autonomy, and like, sure, okay, Tesla ignores it, but fuck that. Mercedes in Nevada, they just got signed off to they can do level 3 autonomy. And what's the real important part about level 3? Mercedes is liable for the car. Tesla
Zach,
will never have.
Did you read the transcript?
No.
Okay, so Moody Hikmet today sent me a story. There was the transcript from court of the Walter Huang crash.
Right.
And the head of Tesla's autopilot program testified, and it was bad. It's all bad. It's really bad.
Right.
Like, it's really, really bad.
Right.
And apparently Tesla's response to Moody's tweets were that the term operational design domain does not apply to a level 2 system, which is completely absurd.
Come on. What?
It's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Go and I retweeted it today. If you want to go see it, you can see it. You can follow Moody Hikmet, of course, on Twitter.
Look.
But
here's the thing. Like, people view Elon Musk as whatever, Steve Jobs. I don't even know why people idolize Steve Jobs, because he was apparently just the biggest dick ever. But remember, this is a guy who said in 2016, by next year, everyone will own a robotaxi. And they stopped putting radar and LiDAR in their cars, right? And said they're going to have full self-driving.
Yeah.
And then they backtracked on it.
Yeah.
But the Kool-Aid drinkers, they don't even miss a beat. They just keep like worshiping this guy.
Well, once you're aligned with like a movement, political, whatever,
or if you're financially incentivized,
well, that's the other thing,
or both.
That's the other thing is like all these guys that bought the Tesla, they also bought stock when it was whatever, and it went up, and they made a lot of money, and so they do think he's like some.
What's the thing that
some
like
genius.
it's easier to fool a man than to get the man to admit he was fooled or something? There's like a quote like that. Like most people don't want to go, you know what, I was wrong, or yes, the person I voted for is insane or something like that.
I'm just like, this is like if you look at Musk, I mean, this is a guy, he's like, vote for Ron DeSantis, like come on, man, like you can't take.
You know what
seriously.
I'm into? Keeping kids from books. I'm real into keeping kids from books.
You know what I mean?
That's the move, right? We can't have these kids reading too much books.
Yeah, I mean, look,
they might learn something from those books.
It's really terrifying.
I think when history looks back, what they'll focus on, I think, with Tesla is how they were just able to drop their prices so much. Because they're really cheap to make electric cars once you're up and running, because there's no parts, and that was his big innovation. What's SpaceX's big innovation? They can reuse something. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. So you're just taking a layer of cost out.
Yeah.
And that's why like every other business he's involved in doesn't work, because he hasn't had that. Dematerializing thing, like they cost more to the boring.
Well,
company.
also the tunnel thing is fundamentally unsound. I mean, that's a.
I just like here's a company that like sells to you for what is it now, 16,000, full self-driving, and you go in the tunnels and they have a driver.
It's nothing.
And it's going 20. Why can't full self-driving navigated
in the
tunnel.
most predictable route
Literally.
possible.
Well, if it had the radar, it would be able to read the walls
Yeah.
and go, "Oh, we're in a
Well,
circle."
you want to know why? Because full self-driving can't stop and open the doors. That's the reason.
Let's go down. MR2D2. Beer question.
Yeah.
Johnny,
Yeah.
I share your enthusiasm for exotic and interesting beers, but I find myself returning to boring American lagers as a home base. Is there an automotive equivalent for you? Mine is the Miata. Mine is my E46 M3. It is what many people refer to, and myself refer to, as a palate cleanser of what just a good car should be.
Mr. MR2D2. I drank 4 Busch beers the other morning at Daytona. And let me tell you, in Florida, when it's a little hot, nothing's better than
Not
like an
so
American
bad.
lager.
The Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum this Sunday.
Yeah, hey,
I will
nice-
be
nice
there.
tie-in.
I will be there. NASCAR extremely kindly bought a big ad block on the Smoking Tire podcast.
Hell yeah, brother.
Big advertiser.
Hell
got
yeah.
Got Zach and I the fucking full VIP package.
I saw you were at the Coliseum.
We podcasted from the
cool.
Coliseum.
That's rad.
And it was very cool.
Getting to walk on the surface and like see what
Yeah,
they
we did a
built
little track
was pretty
walk.
amazing, pretty incredible.
It was a fucking nice bit of asphalt.
Yeah.
Sure.
Real nice.
I don't know how they do it in 2 days, but I would just say mine would be the 6th gen Camaro. To me, is like for the least amount of money, the most amount of car.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
terms of driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave from Minnesota, shout out to Are You Garbage. Love Are You Garbage, and I'm working on a collab deal with them that might go somewhere. Can't say it yet, but it would be very fucking cool. Shout out. If you don't know about the Are You Garbage podcast, Johnny.
No, I know nothing.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
it's so
should.
good.
You
Yeah,
should-
I
it's
got.
fucking
I
great.
had the last Spikes. Apparently, like Seinfeld and those guys are saying horrible things about me. I haven't even listened. So
Yeah, you don't.
I don't listen to podcasts.
But you should listen to Are You Garbage. It's very funny.
Okay,
I'll
what
tell
is
you
it? What is it?
It's these 2 Philly goombas
Oh.
that ask a series of questions to comedians and guests to find out if they're classy or trashy, and it is very funny.
I should listen because I'm married to a Philly family, and
If you can relate to Philly or South Jersey, this is the funniest podcast
I hate
ever.
saying it because I've fallen. Like I hate saying it because I don't want it, but I fall like so when the Eagles 5 years ago won the Super Bowl, I was there, and it was one of the most peaceful, drunken celebrations I've
Yeah.
ever seen. There literally was about $50 worth of damage. The New York press turned it into Philly burns the city down. But my favorite part of it was they just won the Super Bowl, first time ever, and what are they screaming? Fuck Tom Brady! Fuck Tom Brady! And I was like, I love these people.
Philly sports fans are the best.
They're the best. Yeah, they're the worst, but they're the best.
Red Rover, Johnny, are you familiar with the new book titled Cobalt Red, dealing with the situation of the cobalt mines in the Congo?
Yes.
Is this the guy who was on Rogan?
I don't know,
that
but,
that guy?
but I
I
don't
didn't
watch
watch it. Let's do
Rogan. I stay away from Rogan.
No, I know,
listen,
but I saw the clips.
Yeah.
And
Listen,
it's a guy who's in this book apparently talks
Yeah.
about the fact that cobalt is sourced from
yeah.
incredibly poor conditions,
Red
bordering
Rover
on slavery.
Red Rover, 99% certain. Type this on an iPhone or phone or a laptop that has cobalt mined from this book in it. Okay, so first of all, like it's such weird hypocrisy. Like these guys are like, lithium mining kills Earth, and I'm like, what is oil extraction? Tell me about oil extraction.
Well,
You know, hang on.
Yeah.
So not only am I aware of it, I wrote this story called "You're Being Lied to About Electric Cars," despite whatever meme you just retweeted. And in the opening paragraph, I said, you know, everything you're saying is bullshit. I forget what exactly I put it. You know, this, cobalt mining is slave labor. Oh wait, that part's true. I'm totally aware of it, as is BMW, as is General Motors, and they're all trying to find ways around it. And they are. I mean, there's lithium phosphate batteries don't use cobalt. And everyone's switching to that. Tesla has largely switched to that. So,
GM put a ton of money into, what was it, like the solid state battery tech that doesn't use as many of the...
solid state battery, I wish I knew more about it, but like Moore's law with computers. By 2030, the average EV right now is 300 miles of range. 2030, it'll be 900 miles of range. Based on improvements with lithium technology,
not other
solid
technology,
state
okay.
is going to be a whole nother ballpark. I wish it's so complex, I don't understand it. But it is basically their
Like
iron
Pikes Peak
batteries.
tax law, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be. It's a lot like that. Yeah, I'm aware of it, but it's like people are bitching and moaning about stuff. Not only are they doing, everyone who's ever complained about Cobalt is doing so on a device that contains Cobalt mined by child slave labor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
And it's not like, I have more child slave labor in my car. It's the same,
I
mean, you
physically
have more.
But unlike, and by the way,
you do.
Well, hang on. You don't really, if you spread it out, like if you look at the computer industry,
right.
what the computer industry uses of Cobalt a year versus EVs, computer and phone industry is way more.
Because there's more computers sold, more phones sold.
Okay,
right. But I'm saying your phone versus your Rivian.
A little bit more, yeah. But the car industry is actively trying to move away from that. BMW has already said we're not going to use any conflict minerals. So everyone's actively trying to run away from that shit. Unlike Apple, unlike whoever makes that's Apple, but unlike IBM, Apple. Unlike every Google phone, no one in any other industry is trying to run away from Cobalt.
People are noticing it because a phone, it doesn't seem like there's much in, but when you have a battery that's 3.5 tons, it's very little cobalt. So much.
There's very little cobalt in a 3.5 ton battery. There's a lot of lithium. There's very little cobalt. And lithium's a metal, by the way.
I actually don't want to pretend to know.
Yeah,
because I don't know.
I know a lot about this, and it turned 90% of cobalt is in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and your choice is basically, I don't want maybe slave labor is a bit harsh, but like insanely underpaid adult labor or like even worse paid child labor extracts the stuff.
So on average, an EV has between 6 and 12 kilograms of cobalt.
Yeah,
and then
so in a
Cobalt
3,500 pound battery.
10 to 20% of the battery or the cathode is cobalt.
Yeah, that seems like a decent amount.
It's substantial, but it's not.
Pounds, yeah.
But again, if you have a 3,000 pound battery, it's like it's like 3%, 4%
times how many units sold.
No,
I mean, it's
again,
a lot of units. It's not nothing. It's not nothing.
Yeah, but again, nobody gave a shit when and still your phone and your laptop globally use more cobalt than all EVs put together.
But nobody, the awareness was only raised recently.
The awareness
nobody gave a shit because nobody knew to give a shit.
No, nobody gave a shit because it's politically how you're going to be against a phone. MAGA and communists love their phones. You know what I mean? Like no one's against phones.
So do you think this is a movement that is spurred
it's
by
a total right wing
or something like that?
It's a total right wing nut job anti-EV movement.
Politically, you and I are in the same place.
Yeah,
but I can't ignore the fact that the amount of cobalt used in a phone or computer compared to the amount of cobalt used in a very heavy electric car is not the same amount.
Why are you slicing it that way? Why isn't it like industry versus industry where the computer industry uses like 8 times the amount of cobalt that the car industry does? Why aren't you attacking computers? Because you don't give a shit. But you don't give a shit. The people saying this, they don't actually give a shit. They hate EVs because it won't go vroom, vroom, vroom when they hit the pedal. But it's like you're going to be forever enslaved by ExxonMobil. That's okay. And by the way, you should see what Exxon's doing in Africa. You know what I mean?
Look,
yeah, that's a fair point.
We've had a couple different people on the show, and they've talked about, if there is going to be a transition or a forcing people into EVs, that has to be to not fuck up the countries where the stuff comes from.
Why did those same people not say a fucking word when lithium, cobalt, every single element they're worried about with cars is in the laptop and the phone that they own, that they've been buying for 20 years?
I think that's a fair point, because their car batteries are so fucking heavy.
But
again,
the industry that produces phones and laptops uses, I think it's like 8 times more still. So in other words, you'd have to have 8 times as many EVs to equal what all these fucking people own and never gave a fuck about. They're lying, they're hypocrites. If you really care, you would not use a phone. They're just lying. They hate EVs because it doesn't go vroom, vroom, vroom. It's just a political thing. I think It's like this.
I don't think you can.
Hang on. It's like DeSantis in Florida. You see that today, where he's like, "Oh, you're never gonna take our gas stoves." 8% of houses in Florida.
The gas stove thing is dumb as fuck. That's dumb.
8% of houses in Florida use gas stoves.
Yeah.
No, the gas stove thing
92%
is
use
dumb.
electric. Yeah, but you hear my point though. It's like, yeah, it sucks. By the way, the auto industry is moving away from Cobalt. It's moving away from all. It's really trying to. Laptop industry, phone industry is not, because it's cheap. So like, again, BMW's moved away from it. Tesla's moving away from it. GM's, they're all moving. Nobody wants to use
What's interesting
slave
about all
labor.
of this is that we are more connected to more information because of these devices.
Yeah.
Which I understand have a lot of conflict minerals in them, and that allows us to get information about things like the mining and the elements that go into EV batteries, which allows people to get upset about things that 30 years ago we may not know anything about, which is like this weird conundrum.
But again, the hypocrisy of being like, I'll never buy an EV because it contains cobalt, which is
I
just
feel like you're talking about a very specific person, because like Red Rover didn't say that. So I think
I'm saying
I think the danger is that if we lump people into one group, we go, they're only here because they hate EVs. They're only here because they love gas. They're only here because they're hypocrites.
This person asked the question.
Yeah, I'm aware of the
Cobalt
book.
demand is expected to rise, and asked a fair question is, do you think this battery manufacturing is sustainable?
That's false. The cobalt rising 400% is patently false. Everyone's moving away. They're moving to lithium phosphate, not lithium ion. You don't need cobalt.
Because that number could be calculated by take rate now in the amount of cobalt used now, which is not always true because technology changes.
But again, the people that are like, when they say I won't buy an EV, they pick an excuse because it has cobalt in it, is like, you still own a phone and a computer. You're a hypocrite. If you don't give up your laptop with a lithium-ion battery and your phone, why is it okay to buy those?
Well, is it?
Why is it okay? I'm serious. Why is it okay to buy? It's just a little child slave labor. It's just a little bit. It's not a lot of it.
Isn't the amount of evil, like if you increase the amount of evil, isn't that not worse than
increasing the amount of evil is worse?
I disagree. So in other words, you can. So if
it's like the trolley problem.
If 10 children are enslaved, that's bad. But if one's enslaved, you can sleep at night.
No, I mean, I'm not going to fall into this dumb like Fox News argument thing.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I hate this argument. And again,
but I also hate what you're presenting, which is like these ultimatums.
Why?
So obviously it's terrible that child labor is used to make phones. Like, that needs to be reformed by Apple, who have so much money offshore.
But
in
again,
Ireland,
what I'm saying is the people
that
that
profits a lot.
The people that bring this up don't give a fuck about child slave labor. They hate EVs.
We don't know that.
Oh, I know that.
I don't know if you can necessarily
They just hate EVs.
that.
They just hate EVs. They've never said anything.
I agree. There are definitely people that hate new green technology because it seemed to come from a party they disagree with.
But again, and I deal with this a lot. The people that are like, oh, the environment's going to suffer from lithium mining. They never thought about what oil does. You know how dirty, like you pump the oil.
I think about what oil does.
Yeah, I know.
And I also have
you.
concerns about what lithium mines can do.
Yeah, well,
I'm not talking about cobalt. I'm talking about lithium mines.
Okay,
like I just have concerns.
Sure.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, lithium's a metal that's 99.9% recyclable. Oil is burned.
Right, no, but I'm talking about mining it and affecting the local community.
I don't want to get into it, but like, explain to me the difference between a copper mine and a lithium mine.
I mean, I'm literally not know the
I'm
difference.
literally not able to
an
explain
iron
that.
mine and an aluminum mine. There's no difference. It's a mine.
I know
it's a metal.
A lithium mine is a mine that has big pools that use lots of water.
Oh, guess what oil extract? Guess what fracking is? Guess what?
So much water.
Fracking is bad.
Hang on. But guess what oil extraction is? Guess what like mining anything is? Mining is horrible. For the earth. I mean, especially for the earth. The earth doesn't give a fuck. It's horrible for human beings. All mining. There's like mining iron ore and mining lithium. There's no difference. They're metals that are underground. Anti-EV people, they report on how bad lithium is. They do not report on how bad iron mining is.
I have no
copper.
idea. I have no idea.
Please tell me why removing copper
about.
is better than removing lithium from under the ground.
Well, how is copper mined?
Right.
Is copper mined
the same way? It's metal. They're pulling metal out
I
of the
don't
earth.
think it's mined in the same way.
It is mined in the same way.
What does a copper mine look like, Zach?
It looks like a
Big
lithium
spiral
mine.
hole.
It looks just like a lithium mine.
I don't think it
It
does.
does. Yeah, it does.
does?
Lithium's rarer, but actually, it's not even rare. That's
I
not
was
even fair
told
to
the
say.
lithium is not that rare.
It looks like
rare,
a
but-
drain. It looks like a drain.
Yeah, it's metal. You're pulling recyclable metal out of the earth.
Well, a copper mine is certainly not pretty,
They're
but
all terrible. But what I'm saying is there's nothing worse about lithium mining. Despite there's lots of people that say there is who have never had an environmental concern in their life. They're worried that Joe Biden's going to show up and take their T-Rex is what they're scared of. Because remember when Obama was taking your guns? I mean, same shit. There's
Look,
I'm telling. Look at. I mean, I've done this.
This has gone kind of all over the place, and I don't have a scientific background.
All right.
To
if you can explain to me why pulling lithium metal out of the ground is worse than pulling copper out of the ground, I would love to hear that argument.
I don't have that argument. I'm not going to pretend I do.
I have
I'm not going to pretend I do.
It's the same fucking thing. It's metal. They're pulling metal out of the ground.
Yeah, I'm not
Lithium's
going
a
to
metal.
pretend I do.
Lithium, like iron, is 99.9% recyclable. It's the same shit. Now, again, people, they can FUD like crazy about it, like, oh, but...
I don't like the use of FUD.
I'm sorry.
I don't like that.
But they've never had...
not
But
good.
are you going to listen to people...
who mean well don't use FUD.
I mean well. They've never had an environmental concern in their life. Not one. And suddenly they're worried about the environment. To me, that's a red flag. They're just like... It's become a culture war thing.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I do.
Cobalt mining, terrible. Because it's it's bad. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, not a good place. Cobalt mining, terrible. Moving away from it. New battery chemistries.
And look, there's people, that are that use arguments very conveniently. Let's just say
That's what I'm talking about. That's the word.
In terms of like they are not concerned about the use of oil, the burning of crude oil for ships and whatever, and bunker oil, and what have you.
World.
And all of a sudden, they're worried about the mining of cobalt, and I think that's true.
Okay,
I think that's true.
Fair.
I don't have a scientific explanation for why one type of mining is worse. Yeah. I don't have that.
Well,
I don't want to fight with you about it.
Yeah,
honestly.
I'm just saying. I'm hyper. Obviously, I'm hyper into this, but I did a lot of research on this.
What I don't think is that for most people,
right,
most consumers, I don't think their choice of personal conveyance affects anything.
100% agree.
For most people.
I agree 100%. But what I'm saying is you have people that, get a little bit of a following and they're like doing this whole lithium mining is so bad. And it's like, and I remember, I had a little bit of chemistry at some point in my life and I'm like, isn't lithium a metal? It's a metal. Okay. Lithium mining. It's the same as extracting any other fucking metal out of the earth. They're all terrible. Pulling shit out of the earth is bad for humans.
The only
animals.
thing that I know
okay
about
for the
lithium mining is it typically uses a lot of water.
So does every type of
in places that don't typically have a lot of water.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there are some lithium mines that don't have a ton of water, but again, there are copper mines that have deserts of Africa. There's places that have no water.
Well, do copper mines need a lot of water?
Yeah, all mining needs a ton of water. Yeah. Now, there's stuff where you're doing lithium extraction out of the Salton Sea and stuff like that, but it's again, mining is it's bad for humans that live near it and animals that live near it.
Yeah, it is.
It is. All mining. But I mean, this is, again, iron mining is horrible. Iron smelting is horrible.
No, yeah, but from what I have understood about a transition to EVs for everybody, is that we need an amount of these metals,
right,
that is vastly beyond what we have now.
Hang on. That what we have mines established for now. We have the ability. We have the ability to. There's tons of unmined lithium, and they're finding more and more every day. there's a spot in Nevada which is like it's hard to get to now, and it's probably on, I think it's on Native American land, but there's enough lithium there for like every human to have 2 EVs or something like that. The other thing is, as battery technology gets better and better and better, and it's like similar to Moore's law, the size of batteries will come down.
But Moore's law is kind of bullshit,
except it held up for a long time.
Yeah, but it hasn't held up recently.
Well, because it got too thin.
Yeah, and also there's no saying that it will hold up in the future, and lithium battery technology has not followed Moore's law either.
Well, it definitely hasn't followed Moore's law, but it is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and the technology is constantly changing, constantly evolving. Soon we're going to be getting into solid state batteries, which are made of iron.
I hope so.
Yeah,
but not now.
Soon. Not far, like.
Well, earlier you said it's a ways off.
Well, 7-8 years off.
Wait, I thought you said solid state was after 2030, but 2030 is going to have double.
2030 is 7 years away.
Yeah.
People already have like prototype solid state 3D printed batteries running around powering shit. You know, I mean,
hope so.
Company in Colorado that does it.
Yeah, it's all happening we're like 1906 in terms of where we are with EVs.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, we're real early, and it's just getting better.
Like, the good news about people that write books like that is that it brings awareness, which I think makes the public angry, which then forces industries to try to evolve technology to use fewer resources.
Agreed.
Right? So that's good.
I totally agree. Look, trust me, I'm more against child slave labor than the people that claim to be against child slave labor. Like, you know,
what does that even mean?
I'm really against slavery. Like, I
can't wait for
most against
I
it.
can't wait for the social media people
Don't
to
be
get
a
that
one-upper,
one.
like I said.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I've been against the way oil is produced in Africa since the 90s when I first learned about it. No one else that's writing this shit has given a fuck.
It was a small band.
Yeah,
like, just
exactly.
Small
No, but
clubs,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
before.
I've been conscious of how bad, like, you know, big corporations treat like minorities in Africa for a long, long time. Actually, they're the majority in
I don't think anyone's
Africa.
accusing you of not being aware of that.
Well, I don't want to be like I don't care and I'm glossing over it. You know what I'm saying? Like I give a fuck. I really give a fuck. And again, that, you know, whoever's saying,
you want people to give a fuck equally.
Whoever, yeah. Well, you know, burn your phone if you actually care. Second, you know, please explain this to me. If you really care suddenly about pollution and all this, you know, 20% of the power in gasoline goes to forward momentum. In an EV, 60% of the electricity goes to forward momentum, and the brakes can recapture 30%. It's 4.5 times more efficient. That's a mathematical thing.
Yeah.
Talk me out of that. That's right.
Don't look at me like it's my fucking job.
No, I'm just saying, like, all these people talk me out of that. You know, like, come on.
All right.
If you want to talk Johnny out of that, go to his Instagram.
Yeah, talk
on
about
his
it on
post.
fucking his page, bro.
Yeah.
I'm going to call the game here. It's been a fun night. 2.5 hours of radio.
You know what I'm saying.
I don't, you know, in the areas that I am considering disagreeing with you, I don't have the scientific background to disagree with you, and so I will default to what you've got right now. I believe that when moving to green technologies, just like our friend Salika Talbot said on this show, that it is important that these things are equitable, and that when we build mines for these metals, that we respect the fucking land and the people on whose backs we are building this shit, and make sure that they share in the good fortune.
100%.
You know, 100%. I haven't read the book that homie was talking about, but I'm sure it's fucking bad in the Congo. I don't have a solution for that right now. I don't.
Right.
But other bad shit's
again,
happening too.
Again, I just want to point out, the same guy, I bet you he bought his wife a diamond.
Well, Zach got synthetic. Zach went with the man-made joint.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like
my shit, blood diamond, straight up.
Mine was.
I was like, I want a fucking murder diamond.
Right, but you know what?
My wife deserves the real shit.
But you get my point. I want you to get my point that, like, literally the laptop or the phone he typed that question into has the bad stuff in it that he's sad that cars have in it.
Yeah.
Sure. And that no one can even, like, they can't even talk about that. Like, they ignore it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that industry, uses 8 times. I forget what it is. I should have looked it up. But it uses way more than the car industry does. And even if the car industry...
Well, right now, today,
Yes.
there's a lot more computers and phones than there are electric cars. But if everybody has to drive an electric car, that ratio will change very quickly.
Except that the industry is moving away from lithium-ion
If you say,
to lithium
if
phosphate,
you say so,
which doesn't
I
use
don't
cobalt.
know. If you say
I
so.
swear it's true.
All right,
Yeah,
cool.
it doesn't use cobalt.
All right.
Yeah, lithium phosphate.
Jonny Lieberman, folks. MotorTrend. Fucking The Inevitable Podcast.
Motherfucker.
Jonny Lieberman on Instagram. Jonny Lieberman on Twitter. Get his political takes. They're
quitting Twitter.
fucking hard.
I'm quitting Twitter.
They're fucking hard, bro.
fuck Twitter.
Twitter's gonna quit you before you quit
Good,
Twitter.
good.
They're gonna fucking shadow ban this motherfucker.
I've been shadow banned.
That's our show. We'll see you guys next week, everybody. Have a good afternoon, weekend, Clash at the Coliseum, etc. Bye.